Just back downside here this morning as we get going on a Tuesday ahead of the holiday shortened. Remember, half day tomorrow and then Thursday off for the July 4th holiday. Market pretty muted here as expected, coming off of decent rebound yesterday. We are seeing a little bit of weakness coming back into some of the semiconductors. NVDA gapping to the downside this morning. Nothing significant in the way of, oh yeah, Fed Chair Powell speaking, but nothing significant in the way of economic releases, data anyways. He's coming up at 9:30 this morning, but we are going to get JOLTS job openings coming up at 10 o'clock. That's the main one for today. But yeah, all eyes on Powell at 9:30 speaking over in Europe. Who knows? Might be absolutely nothing, might be market moving. We'll keep an eye on any comments that come from that. Overall, as we said, market trying to get back to the upside here after ending the day at the highs yesterday. Bit of gap down, trying to get back to 484. The NASDAQ at this point, a little bit of weakness, as I mentioned, for some of the semiconductors, putting this NASDAQ anyways under pressure. More strength this morning in Chewy shares, back to the upside 2 days in a row here off that roaring kitty headline from yesterday. We'll talk about that coming up. Sharif going to join us later on this morning, and Dara's with me. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Good. Interesting day yesterday. We'll see what comes of this today. As I mentioned, a little bit of strength once again for Chewy. GME not really doing anything here so far today.
GME is interesting. I was really curious to see if this one would have a bit of a rebound, because right at the end of the day yesterday, we find out that apparently that lawsuit has been voluntarily dismissed. Not much of a reaction there for GME, but of course this one can move and will move throughout the day, so we'll have to wait and see.
On the Alzheimer's front, we had that huge move in Cassava Sciences going into the weekend. Back on Friday, thing absolutely fell apart. I just saw SAVA pop up here on a volume scanner in front of me, but not really doing much in the pre-market. If you zoom out a little bit, that was Friday. Remember, this thing just fell apart on some fraud allegations. More selling yesterday. We did come back to close the day at $12 for Cassava Sciences. Sean, enjoying the week off this week. Obi's back with us. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, everybody. Today, hey, happy Polestar Day, everybody. Polestar reported earnings. Oh, come on. I know somebody. There's a few people out there that actually care about Polestar earnings.
Oh, 100%.
It didn't break $1. I was actually excited. It double topped at 97. I thought we were going to get the big breakout. You'd have a penny stock that would be going. But I just saw something about a firm that I'm going to get to, because that could be a flat bottom break this morning. The Cassava Sciences story, not really doing a heck of a lot of volume. I think it's going to be a Tesla day. When you got the deliveries, it was the biggest mover yesterday. Okay, well, there was a lot of big movers yesterday, but Tesla was the one that I think caught everybody's attention. So that has to be firmly on the radar. I don't love the fact that it's just holding underneath. Like that opening range support, it's holding right underneath it. That's not the best sign in the world. It needs to go. Microsoft made a fresh high and might be failing back underneath it. You saw that late rally if you're watching the afternoon show, which you should be. That was a big time runner as well. And no questions asked, you know, NVIDIA is always going to be on the radar. It's back at that 123. So it's almost like all signs point to $123 on NVIDIA. It just doesn't seem to want to get away from that price. When you have a holiday shortened week and you have lighter volumes, you need to be more focused on the trades and the setups that work for you. That's why I'm looking for things that might be distinct. Like I just noticed it could be a flat bottom break on a firm. So if it gets underneath that, that'll be in play. And when we get to Nikola, I'm just instantly slapping. We say the same thing when it comes to reverse splits. And when we get to Nikola, you guys are going to be like, why isn't everybody super rich just shorting that thing after the reverse split? It's not that difficult a strategy. We'll get to that one later.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bleak look. Not too many things that I'm seeing on play. I see dead stocks. No, I'm joking. But no, Amazon pushing for that 200 potentially today. But yeah, Tesla definitely on watch today with the kind of strength that it had yesterday. Going to be continuing to watch ES and NQ. Let's see what we do with that 20 thou again. But I think my main plan today is exactly what Neil said. Kind of just being patient, waiting for kind of playbook setups to come to me instead of me trying to look for things in places where they may or may not exist. Right, trying to force a trade on a non-in-play name can definitely be just unnecessary mental expenditure of mental capital, unnecessary paper cuts, and then that might affect the next trade, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the main focus for today is waiting for your playbooks to kind of come to you. That'll be it for me. Yeah.
That's key, because the thing is, if you try to force trades or you try to make something happen on a stock where you want it to, but the stock doesn't want to go, you're just going to get yourself Rick Ross in Vancouver, and nobody wants that. Let's go back to the desk.
All right, under pressure right now. Just seeing LLY coming through on a couple of headlines here regarding Novo Nordisk. The Biden administration coming out saying that Novo Nordisk should reduce the price of their Ozempic. I mean, any of the weight loss drugs, way overpriced. Eli Lilly included in this as well. But NOVO under pressure. Here's Eli Lilly getting hurt pretty bad here right now. Just broke 895 to the downside. Still seeing, just be aware as well, Rivian deliveries just coming through. So Rivian upside, it looks like, on a bit of a move here. Q2 deliveries is coming through, therefore we'll check that out. But I want to mention this because, yeah, that's a pretty ugly move here for Eli Lilly. Again, the Biden administration saying both Novo Nordisk and Lilly need to cut the prices of Ozempic and Wegovy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how if the price cuts in the U.S. impact, because we've seen these companies both moving into other countries. We have Novo Nordisk getting approval in China. Just yesterday, we had Eli Lilly getting some temporary approval or potential approval in India should they undergo a phase 4 trial, which is basically consumer surveillance. So it's interesting. It's an interesting look here. We'll have to see how those U.S. prices impact the stocks.
I mean, it's still significantly less over in Europe. So any way you look at it, they got a point. So it's, what was that, 910 yesterday. Ended up being support all the way down to 895. Again, just stand by here, guys. Rivian moving around on delivery numbers just coming through for Q2. But big move down here for LLY as well.
That Rivian more likely to trade than Eli Lilly. I think everyone knows that until these guys decide they want to hit 1,000 and then split it. They're going to split eventually. It's just a matter of time. But for now, it's not always a day trading stock. I know Adara has traded it in the past, but you said that 890 level certainly going to be in play today. And if not at the open, I would think. You can tell just by looking at the chart, kind of like the lack of liquidity at most price areas, but the last dump it had, it did make a $25 pullback that caught a big time bid. So when this stock does tend to reverse, I'm not comparing it directly to NVIDIA, but when it does tend to reverse after dips, there seem to be dip buyers that are eager and willing to get involved in the GLP. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it matters, not just your clients in North America. I mean, they can only have Busta Rhymes using Ozempic. Look, man, if anyone's seen pictures of Busta Rhymes, like, come on, son. Like, I'm pretty sure that he has to be on it. It is what it is. I'm going to leave it alone from there. But the Eli Lilly, I don't think I necessarily want to trade it. But if you do get that reversal style trade, what is notable is the last time it did this, there was just consistent uptrend. So if it does a hammer bottom and hold a higher low, it ended up being like a consistent long. So I don't wonder if there isn't like more of a swing opportunity there if it manages to hold that higher low at the 890 today. Rivian's going to be the interesting one with those deliveries. I feel like it's an EV kind of day today. We already talked about Tesla. Polestar reported Nikola's being Nikola. And now you have Rivian, which is trying to hold that low. You have the Volkswagen news, 1325 double bottom. So for the first time since that pullback and attempted gap fill, you actually held the same low for a couple of days. So you got support now at 1325, and then the higher low here out at 1370. Let's call it 1375 or whatever you want to call it. If that can hold this morning, I think you can get a rally. Whether or not it can get past 15. It doesn't need to be, it doesn't have to get past 15 to be any good. So we'll wait for those numbers to come in there. And that 1375 just has to hold. I like when you try to fill that gap and you get the pullback, you get that bad day or two, then you make that higher low. Hold that higher low and then start looking for the trend long back again. Just let the stock calm down. And it feels like Rivian has a chance to do that today.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at Lilly here. And yeah, I think talk about a post-earnings bid, Neil. Very, very strong after earnings, a multi-month bid that's been going on. So I can't help but kind of see this very distinct trend here. If my magnet will have me right here, look at that nice little channel right there. So we are kind of technically breaking below. We've broken above as well. But yeah, no. What stands is this like the bid that's been happening post earnings definitely stands out. You know that prior earnings as well, we held all of those levels. This ticker looks pretty strong here now. Again with the whole Ozempic, I guess I don't want to call it a fad, but like the developments in Ozempic that are coming through that are being used and pushed, and you know it's I think it's a great step ahead when it comes to medicine, but it seems like Lilly's catching a bit of a sentiment ride on that as well. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful.
It's a great looking chart.
Just going through some of these numbers here for Rivian. They produced 9,612 vehicles at their manufacturing facility in Illinois. 13,790 vehicles delivered, which looks like in line with expectations. The move higher coming on they reaffirmed their production goal for the remainder of the year at 57,000 for the remainder of 2024. So that was where it was prior, but they just came out saying they're still on target to meet that. Keep in mind, we are expecting numbers from Tesla coming out here possibly before the open this morning as well. So Tesla downside here so far this morning.
Yeah, the Tesla numbers could be interesting there. I saw some analysts are apparently expecting average 6% drop. Barclay saying 11% drop in those delivery numbers. So we'll have to see what Tesla gives us there. It's also interesting, Rivian maintaining its 57,000 vehicle production goal. So far, they've produced just under 21,000 for Q1 and Q2. So you've got about 36,000 vehicles to be produced in these last two quarters. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to pull that off.
Yeah, going to be a busy second half of the year here I'm just keeping my eye out here for Tesla. Yeah, they're still saying about 20, 30 minutes away for Tesla numbers. That could be a bit of a down move, I think, for Tesla. But Rivian, guys, yeah, the 57,000 number was the same as the prior, which seems to be positive so far.
Okay, that's good news for Rivian. I think on a day like today, you do want to try to focus on things that had those catalysts. Want to give a shout out in the chat here. You see some people putting symbols. You can put the symbol once or twice if you want us to go over it. No worries whatsoever. You don't always have to spam the chat. But I want to say what's up to Tracksuit. What up? Hopefully you're comfortable in your tracksuit. Right next door in Montreal for the week. So a little O Canada. Why not? So welcome Tracksuit. It's not necessarily right next door. Canada's kind of big, and Montreal and Toronto. You can get a train over there, but it's not that close. But yeah, welcome. I hope you're enjoying your time for sure. Look, there's a lot of things that are going to be spicy today. But okay, you know what? Before I get to Rivian, there's a few people that mentioned Amazon, and I just want to, because I didn't put this on my note, and I've said this before. When we have something that we're like a level that we're waiting for, or a stock does a certain thing, you know, like the Mara 23 is an example for the last couple of weeks. But Amazon in 200, I think the first time we tagged it, we know that everyone and their mother wants a breakout on Amazon at 200, and we're at 198. So could today be the day? Sure, it could be. But there was nothing specific to Amazon catalyst-wise that would say, okay, well, this catalyst has us pushing through Amazon #1 idea kind of thing. It's just, you know it's going to be there. It's higher lows into this $200. It'll be spicy if it gets there. I feel like every single day I'm putting an order and then just it never makes the breakout, but it's only been 3 days, so it's not that big of a deal. But it could be today. There's no question about it. You want things that are A, moving, B, at key price levels, where you should expect some explosion or some stops to get run. Just all those types of things you need when you're going to have this lower volume. So this Rivian move, it doesn't make the breakout of yesterday's high, actually reversing. That could provide some opportunities. So the numbers seem like they're okay. They're not blowing it out of the water. You still have a decent short float with Rivian that I'm going to double check on trade ideas here. What do we have? We got load. Now it doesn't want to load. All right. Well, I'm pretty sure it was like 12%. The last I checked, it was like 12%. So 14.5, that needs to break out, but I still like this higher low idea What I wouldn't want to have seen is you get the delivery numbers and then you lose the 1375 support. Then all bets would be off for the long. But as long as it holds on to that through the open, I think we can be okay. You just have to be careful. When you get news on the EV names, if it breaks support, your support level at 9:30, you don't fight it. We've seen this with NIO, we've seen this with Tesla, we've definitely seen it with Rivian. We could try to catch a falling knife on one of these stocks, and the day that it decides it wants to go down at 9:30, you better actually get a real bottom on the stock. You know, like don't just sit there thinking this is a level I like, I'm just gonna sit on the bid. No, let it bounce first. There's nothing wrong with when a stock pulls down, you get along here instead of trying to guess at that same price here, here, here or something, because what if it goes to the bottom? And once you've lost your support level, you should be looking for confirmation if you're then trying to pick a long. So I will be looking for bids on Rivian, but I'm not gonna be stubborn about it.
Yeah, it should be interesting what these delivery numbers kind of bring into us. Not too much of a reaction as of right now. We are kind of, we bid up a little bit there. Couldn't really get past prior day's highs, but definitely came in to test them at 14 halves. And you can see a little bit of a wick action as well. I put an anchored VWAP right here off of this strength that we had prior Tuesday, and we're trading below it. We faded off of it, so I guess that kind of shows a little bit of the sentiment of whoever is long and short off of this strong volume and the days kind of coming in after that as well. And no, Tesla, we saw how crazy it went yesterday right off of the open, technical breakout, multi-day, multi-week, maybe even multi-month, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, definitely a couple month worth of a breakout right there. Yeah, you can see highs from March that were taken out in the 205s. We were talking about that very, very aggressive action, and then closes near high a day as well. So let's see what we get with, again, as Brendo said, delivery numbers coming out soon enough within the next 30 minutes. So it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. Do we wipe back down? Do we continue some of the strength? But definitely on watch today will be Tesla and Rivian.
A couple other things moving around here this morning. This Way, if you remember, Waystar was a recent IPO, decent size one as well, going back to, when was it? Beginning of June, I guess. We got this WAY on the NASDAQ. It was about $1 billion, if I remember correctly, when it came to market. And this was, I believe, only about 10% of the actual company as well. This thing's done absolutely nothing since, just gone sideways. But the quiet period, analyst quiet period, ends for WAY. So JP Morgan, among others, with positive initiations, Evercore, RBC, a few others, all with positive initiations on this. JP Morgan with a buy, $24 price target on WAY this morning. Not a lot of volume here, though.
Yeah, Goldman Sachs actually gave them a $32 price target, a buy rating, apparently highlighting their strategic integrations of their assets is going to be a factor, apparently, in its ability to make some partnerships in regards to hospitals, health systems. So basically, partnership potential leads Goldman Sachs to give this one a buy and a $32 price target. So lots of positive analyst notes. That's just one of them I'm seeing here.
Yeah, if you zoom out a little bit on, if we switch over to semiconductors here, if you zoom out a little bit on NVIDIA, you'll kind of get the idea this morning. Not a lot happening here. Very, very quiet in the pre-market. This is a 15-minute chart. It was up to NVIDIA yesterday to lead the market back to where we ended the day, and boy, did it ever. Getting back to positive territory just on the day for NVIDIA, but the market was not bad when all was said and done, but stuck in this range still, guys. 123, bit of a level here, it looks like, for NVDA today.
Yeah, there's no escaping this 123 level. It just feels this will be the 5th day in a row, which actually that's not true. It's like the 6th day because you actually have to count in here what was that, Tuesday, I think it was, when it broke out the 123. Like, it was a late morning breakout at 123. Even go a day back, and at the open, it fell apart, that price, and support for 3 days. The breakdown at 123 was spectacular. If you had it, unfortunately, we were looking at Chewy yesterday. How much of a nothing burger was Chewy? We'll get into that. You had to be short that thing, thankfully. But the 123, lost it at the open. You had a $4 move to the downside, clean. Caught a little bit of that through 120. I got a 120 break down into that 119 level, and that was kind of like a late move. And then you had the patented NVIDIA reversal. You make that early morning bottom, and then all the dip buyers come right back in, and right when it's reestablished 123, just all afternoon, bounce off the 123. I would love for this to break 125. If you go up to 1.25, you had resistance up there. It was a double top yesterday. It's a gorgeous looking breakout. You got room to the previous high, 27.5, but you got to contend with this silly 123 level. It could just break it down again. And if it does, that would be pretty bearish on NVIDIA. So 123, it's an over-under play for me. At the open, if it's not trading above 123, I don't want to be long unless it's down 119, 120, 117 is a big level, because I think it could easily just try to fill the gap one more time. Oh, and before we move on, because we got time, AMD, hey, I think this is missing. Yeah, that's missing some of yesterday. But AMD, right back under the 50 period, still in that sick downward trend it is, and 156. I mean, 156 was a similar level for AMD. You can see it holds support there. It held support in the afternoon, and it's trading right back at 156. So AMD could do the same thing as NVIDIA in the 123 at $156. So you pick your poison. Currently, AMD's down more, down like 1%. I should check that. NVIDIA's down more, but I don't think it matters. I think you trade the one that is your preference. AMD had the bigger fall yesterday, and if somehow AMD gets up $7 from here, I'm not missing a chance to short at 163. Yesterday, there were a few things that were missed opportunities, but AMD, and I know NVIDIA is like the belle of the ball and all that good stuff, but AMD, when you pop this out, let me go to a 15 so you can see this even better, because it's actually, when you see this on a 15-minute chart, I pointed this out yesterday, this is the kind of thing that'll give you nightmares if you weren't short AMD. This 167, twice, you have the same look. Fail $166, $167. Then right after it fails it, resistance at 163. And then resistance holds underneath 163. So when it does exactly the same first move, the second move is short in front of 163. You would have been expecting $3 or $4. It dropped $10. So that's the kind of trade. Look, you could blow through that price and you could lose short 163, that's fine. But when you see something like this, those are the trades that you want to have. You look for patterns for a reason. So I still am in the bearish camp on AMD until it breaks out of this channel to the upside. Not that it can't, but until that happens, it's still a short the pop stock. It's just a matter of finding your spots.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at this Waystar that Brendo pointed out. Again, with that quiet period ending as well, something interesting I'm noticing is as it's trading flat right here at that 2150. Now, I remember the IPO day right off of the open. I think 2150 was actually the IPO price. We opened below, and there was some significant size sitting at that 2150, which never broke on day one. Ended up breaking up out of it day 2, day 3. But take a look at this consolidation, this sideways chop, and look at this R-vol that's been coming in over the past few days as well. You go onto the daily chart, you can see slightly expanding volume coming in. So it could be interesting here, trading at 2185 in the pre-market, not doing too much volume, but maybe definitely something to keep an eye on, especially if, I guess, institutional and larger players are looking to get involved. It seems like the volume might already be a little telling.
All right, let's talk a few other analyst moves here this morning. PayPal to the upside. Decent move, actually, here pre-market, trying to get back above some levels from the past couple of days here, going back to Thursday, Friday of last week, around 58.50. Higher, though, after Susquehanna with an upgrade to positive from neutral on PayPal this morning. You have a firm as well.
Yeah, there's that PayPal, it's a nice look there. $71 price target, basically saying that they're focusing on making the company more profitable, which they, of course, think is good. They're also seeing some positivity with its Braintree feature, so good look there for PayPal. There's also a downgrade for CrowdStrike, which is interesting, not reacting too much to this, but we know this name was recently added to the S&P 500. Going back to last week, it's been down about 2% right now, with Piper Sandler downgrading, saying that they do not see this stock right now because it's already approached its a $400 price target. They don't see any reason to raise the price target. So interestingly enough, downgrading it for neutral because it's reached its previous price target.
Yeah, holiday week, so some of the analysts off probably at this point, but we'll see if anything else pops up here. Before we get to the open, remember 9:30, guys. Powell takes to the microphone over in Europe again. Could be nothing, could be market moving, but that's coming up in about 35 minutes or so.
Yeah, Powell's going to drop
reversion
some
man?
bars. The reversion man?
The reversion man?
Yeah, he's speaking in Europe. Where is it in?
Portugal.
It's Portugal.
Yes.
There it is.
Yeah.
Boo. No, just kidding. Actually, I'm 1/8 Portuguese. I'm only booing because they're rivals of England. We went over this yesterday for football. But yeah, PayPal. So when I sat down PayPal, the first thing I turned to Obi and I had this chart up. I was like, this is why, there's never enough time to look at all of the stocks. But I know like at some point I was like, ooh, look at the trend on PayPal that it's forming. It could be making a bottom. And I remember I think I put this in with the notion that if PayPal broke out the high, it's like 69. I think it was a long. You have higher lows from that bottom, holding a distinct trend, and then breakout. But look at what happens when it breaks the trend to the downside. Easy short. Ooh. Okay, we'll get to PayPal breakout in just 1 second because Randy.
What's up, Randy?
I will take a coffee, but somebody seems like they're already in vacation. I know it's a holiday shortened week. You got plan? What were you doing for yesterday? You had any fireworks?
Yard work and more yard work. 17 bags.
17 bags?
Damn. That's a big yard.
Big yard.
Yeah.
That is a big yard. That's a lot of work. So no festivities for Canada Day?
Fireworks.
Okay.
Here's the mic. You got a mic.
Hey, Mike.
What up?
How are you? Fireworks and a few festivities. Weather was decent.
Great yesterday.
Yeah. So happy Canada Day, folks. Belated. What's
That's-
going on? PayPal?
Well, okay, so we actually don't have Tesla deliveries yet. We got Rivian was as expected. Polestar reported a bit of a disappointment there.
But there's good things coming from Polestar. Just wait.
Just wait?
Just hang
Okay.
on. Good things coming from Polestar.
So hold on a second. Let me
In what-
write
in what
down
direction?
long Polestar.
Cars, deliveries.
A little bit of both. New models,
Yeah.
better range. Good things coming from Polestar.
Okay.
Just
All right.
hold tight.
Okay.
Just hang on.
I was talking to these guys yesterday. I saw two on my drive in yesterday.
Yep. Guy in town just picked one up. He loves it.
Yeah.
I'm going for a test drive this week. So
You're going for test drive.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
all right. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You heard it. Randy, Polestar, and maybe we're breaking $1 today. We'll see on those earnings.
We'll see. Coffee?
Should be interesting.
I'll take one. Thank you very much.
Sure, I'll have one. I
How do you take your coffee?
have it kind of ready already. Thank you.
Oh, you're one of those. Like you take the cup and then put.
I already
like, the
put my
milk in.
sugar and my thing in there. I went earlier and something was up with the machine and I didn't know how to
Probably cleaning.
work it. It wasn't the cleaning. It was something about like coffee grounds. Yes. Yeah. Fabian's like, that's why you're tired. I haven't had a sip of coffee
It's
yet.
a complicated.
Thank you, Randy.
It's a complicated machine, believe it or not. It actually isn't.
No,
but
it said to empty the coffee grounds. And
Yeah,
it was
you just-
showing me on the screen what to do.
It's
so
just you
I
pull
was
out the tray, you
I was
dump
trying
the
to pull out
ground.
the tray, but there was nothing it was like stuck in there, and I was like, I don't want to mess this up. I tried to pull it out, but I don't know. It's yeah. I might need to read the manual.
What? Patty Ice thought. First of all, you can see Patrick laughing too. I thought the same thing. Patrick, you have
What?
just as
What do
dirty
you
a
guys
mind as
think?
I do.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, let's get back
right.
to the desk
Don't
before we
worry,
get
the game
ourselves
is
in trouble
strong.
here.
All right, a few other things to consider. There was a note on firm, as I was mentioning, on the cybersecurity side of things, going back to late on Monday, but not really moving around in the pre-market here. For AFRM, yeah, still keeping an eye on that PYPL. Remember, anyone joining a little bit late, I saw somebody mentioning this one again. Eli Lilly, yeah, getting absolutely cracked here. New lows right now again. On this note from, again, the Biden administration comes out this morning saying both Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly need to cut the price in the U.S. market specifically of their weight loss drugs, Wegovy and Eli Lilly's as well. So we'll keep an eye on Eli Lilly, but trying to hold on to, if you zoom out here a little bit, it'll give you a little bit of perspective. We're right back to essentially the middle of June. There was a bit of a pivot around 890 trying to come into play right now. But I mean, this thing has had such a crazy move over the past couple of weeks here. We're still, I mean, it's down, what is it, 4% or so, but really hasn't even, done anything yet at this point this morning.
Now, Eli Lilly, this was interesting. I remember that one was at new all-time highs at the time around its last earnings report, just above 800. Now it's cracked well above 900. So quite a meteoric rise there for Eli Lilly. Novo Nordisk as well is another one that has had a nice move and is often near those all-time highs. So it'll be interesting to see if this is more of a longer setback or if the stock continues to react. But either way, I'm guessing we got those delivery numbers.
I will keep an eye out for. Yeah, we are expecting Tesla to come through here any second here, guys. I'll double check to make sure. If you want to maybe pull up the chart, we can get an idea.
Wow.
So 206 to 215 to 208. I haven't even heard any numbers. I got it in my ear as well. I've heard nothing on the deliveries. I'm going to assume they've got to be out. There's no way. I think they're saying them right now. I can't really make it out. Come on, how much you deliver? Either way, it doesn't matter. Now, oh goodness, now you're down back at 206. It's wild, like a real rejection. That was an $8 move back into the downside. Yeah. Got to let this one settle down here. The initial move was up. We'll get the numbers from Brendan when we get the chance. We'll go right back up to the desk. But there's a huge dip. These candles are real, by the way. This is not fake. It's doing huge volume in the pre-market here. People throwing around size. Does look like it's good out of Tesla. Wow, this is going to be a spicy one today. You knew this was going to be the place to go, and it seems to me like Tesla might have just delivered the goods. Let's go back and see if we can get those numbers.
I'm just seeing totals here, 411,000. So produced approximately 411,000 vehicles, delivered approximately 444,000 vehicles, again, all in Q2. Model 3 and Y production was 386,500 or so. Q2 Model 3 and Y deliveries, 422,000. So that makes up the biggest chunk. Other models, as they like to say, 24,255. Deliveries 21,551 on other models, which is the Model S and X. So yeah, pretty volatile here. We'll double check that. You had those prior numbers there.
Yeah, I had the prior numbers, which I think are really interesting. It shows a bit of an improvement here. So for the production last quarter for Q1, we had over 433,371 vehicles, so slightly above this current production number of 411,000, I believe. However, the deliveries much improved. So Q1, we had 386,810 vehicles, so just below 387,000. Of course, getting well above 400,000 for this quarter. So nice delivery improvement there for TSLA this quarter.
Yeah, again, 444,000 total deliveries. Producing 411,000. So on the manufacturing side, 411,000, 444,000 above on a quarter-over-quarter number, guys.
That's absolutely
wild. Now the numbers are disseminated. You're right back up at that top. Look, when it comes to trading this on deliveries, let's just go right back up for a couple of things. You can forget about all those levels like 06 that we would have talked about before, previous highs, all that good stuff. You really just got to look back to a couple of things. If it's going to hold a move, A, hold green 210. And then B, can it hold above yesterday's high, 213 quarter? Yep. So those would be the two places to look. If you just immediately punched long on that news, you probably had to hold it $10 against you if you got along because it pulled all the way back in. So we can't expect to see crazy price action. I think you want to look that buy the dip situation here, at least until proven otherwise. And don't forget about 220. 220 is... obviously it's a big psychological level, but that was like that last ditch effort to hold. When we got that trend back in on Tesla, and we're going back a ways away here, when you got that trend back in, 220 was the last level to try to hold and break, and once that did, it was trend back to the downside. Now catching a bid, loving the fact that 150 is holding up, but this stock is off to the races once again. I'll have to get away from 210. 213 would be the next little bit of a dip buy. I'm not buying it $11 from the bottom, up at that top, to each their own. The market is going to open in 25 minutes. You have plenty of time. If Tesla's going to go squeezing and Tesla's going to go 5%, 7%, 8%, you've got to be good enough to catch a good long that you can hold on to as opposed to just, just buy it anywhere and then work it out. So Tesla, the shorts are in the...
Oh, yeah.
That's why you short Nikola, people. No, seriously. I'm being dead serious.
the swing short on Nikola definitely has been nice. No, this book, you gotta remember that, like, watching this price action, absolutely crazy. We're breaking past prior day's highs right now. And you gotta remember, this book is not that liquid in the pre-market. Sure, as I say that, there's a stack on the ask there. But there's pretty much, you can see ones across the board, both on the bid, both and on the ask there. Sure, there's odd sizes here and there. Maybe we should throw in the filter to point out anything that's above 100 lots there. But no, yeah, on that push, on that delivery news, yeah, no, the ticker comes all the way down to 206s, maybe even lower 205s before coming right back up. So in the initial move, all the way up to 14s, then down to 06s, then back up to 14s. Now we're pushing for fresh highs at 18s. We might even get that 220 in the pre-market here, Neil, as this strength keeps on going there. Here comes 219. Oh boy, 220. This thing is traded 4.7 million shares in the pre-market, and it's only 905. So here comes 220.
That was with the like.
Yeah, Sharif in the building. We'll maybe get his take on this coming up as well. But here are the numbers. If you missed it, just coming out, or if you're joining right now, Fabian, thank you. There we go. 386,576 was the production number. 422,405. I was just mentioning to Adara here. Production number down slightly, but that might even be a positive for the company if there's lower demand. Why spend the money and make more cars than you need to make at this point? So I think both of these definitely much higher and much more positive than a lot of people were expecting. So Tesla moving, the Qs overall moving. There's Tesla still trying to test 220, Sharif. 4.19% right now to the upside for Tesla, so huge mover. Here goes Rivian trying to get going, 1420 as well, trying to follow suit after they came through with delivery numbers not even in the same conversation as Tesla, but hey, they were in line.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway with Rivian is the fact that we're still seeing 57,000, or they're still seeing 57,000 deliveries for the year. Currently, we're below 21,000. That means they have to make more than 36,000 deliveries. It's going to be about 18,000 a quarter. We had 9,000 last quarter, over 13,000 this quarter. So it'll be quite the hike for Rivian to get to those 18,000 a quarter levels. Tesla, though, these numbers are great, especially when you consider analysts were not expecting much. We had analysts like Barclays expecting an 11% drop. Last quarter, they actually had a 20% quarter-over-quarter drop in their deliveries. So this is, especially when you contextualize these expectations, it's a great look for Tesla as it once again here knocks on the door of 220.
Marked down August 6th. Rivian going to report earnings next time, August 6th, just coming out as well. But yeah, as you said, 9612 was the produced number there for Rivian. Delivered 13,790, but that's the key there. Production guidance staying at 57,000 for Rivian.
Yeah, and look, obviously in comparison, Rivian is now going to be like the wicked stepchild. Just, I don't know, it's not going to be as exciting. 220's coming in here on Tesla. Oh goodness, so that's the break that you want in the actual market, not the aftermarket, in the actual market after 9:30. Pre-market, I don't love it as much, but it can be hard pressed not to at least try it for a tight stop. Now the eyeballs, with that move, eyeballs go from dip by 1375 to potential break on Rivian 1450. So it's now in the middle of nowhere, but it did put in those higher lows that we talked about here on Rivian that we wanted after the Volkswagen news. There's your higher low. It's running with Tesla. But if Tesla does reject the 220, maybe you get a chance at that dip buy. But Tesla coming into that 220 as we speak. At some point, I'll show you that Nikola chart. I keep talking about how bad Nikola is. I'll get to that at some point. But the focus has to be on Tesla 220, Rivian. I still like the dip buy, but the attention is going to move over to Tesla when you get this kind of a number.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy action here. There's only about a couple hundred lots there sitting at 220. Yeah, you guys can see it down here, right there, 146 I'm seeing as of right now. And we're holding at 219. Here it comes, 220, there it is, 700, almost 800 lots. More than that even, taking out some of that, some of those prices here on the filter. You can see it here, some of that size at 220 does get hit. it is decrementing, so we are on our way into and past that 220. There it is, 220 breaks, and we can only print the quarter as of right now. So not a real solid break right off the bat in terms of that buildup that we just had, but 220 holding nonetheless. I am looking, you know what, let's take a quick look left here on Tesla's higher time frame. Let's start off with the weekly and see what 220 may have in store. 220 50s testing as of right now. So you can see right here that in terms of the weekly, we're in the middle of a prior ranging action here. And I remember there's a little bit of a trend that is happening on the bigger picture as well. We are pushing, accelerating into that, again, catalyst driven with these deliveries and then earnings as well. So let's go down to the daily here and take a look at that. So we were talking about this bit of a gap fill type of breakout that happened yesterday, and today the chart is in full on continuation mode as it's broken past this 216, this 215 area. I have 217 and change as a key area on Tesla, and oh boy, did we just blast past that. But I will definitely be looking for dips into the teens if it can come in and maybe hold a bid there, trading back below that 220. So 220 again, a little bit of I guess an anticipated number.
Yeah.
From all the way back down at the lows of 138.80s here.
So remember, like there was a lot of people were expecting disappointment there. So you're catching people off guard. I would have preferred 220 break in the open market. It didn't. It broke at 220. I didn't get the fill on the break, but I think I know why. It's like it's a pre-market, so there's certain stops that you should use and there's certain stops. If you're at real trading, we have multiple different stop orders that we can use, one of which isn't going to actually execute pre-market, so that was my fault. But I did get a bid after it broke because it held right at 220. Never went past the 50 mark, but it did not hold on to the break. That's the kind of trade, especially in the pre-market, either it works right away or not. So it is a relatively tight stop. I know in retrospect, like, oh, that's you're not giving it a lot of room. No chance. I mean, the stock just went $14, and I'm looking for a breakout at a key level. Well, it's already gone 14 bucks. So if we do get a dip buy, we still like it back into previous highs if we even get that. So we have a 16 level, 15, 16. You got that 213, and then you have that 210. I'm not really sure where I would short the stock outside of this trend.
Looks like a great place.
The trend line, I know 220 looks like it, but I said yesterday when we drew this trend line for Tesla that the only thing standing in its way was a round number at 220 and then the top of this trend, which sits at 227, 228. So my strategy, if I look short on this stock, it's going to be at the top of this trend line. So I have this right now. When you have these triple peaks up here, it's about $227.50.
Okay.
So if we get to that level, I start looking for shorts probably into 230. That's a long ways away from us. Tesla is only up 4% right now. Tesla did 7.5% at one point yesterday. Tesla has done double digits before. So I want to respect the fact that it can do more than this. And if I lose going long on Tesla, then so be it. But I'm going to be buying the dips back into VWAP. It's that simple. Like if you knew today Tesla was likely to be the top thing, I knew EVs were going to be important. There's not a heck of a lot of other news. So if we're going to take an L today, I want it to be Tesla long.
Yeah, no.
A lot of focus on obviously EV stocks at this point, but we'll touch on a few other things here. PayPal higher still, trying to hold on to 58.50 here. It was Tuscana if you missed it. Upgrading PayPal today to positive from neutral, raising their price target as well. So again, not a lot of volume behind this move with focus elsewhere.
Yeah, it's a pretty bullish note here. They did give them a $71 price target, which is quite above that 58 we're currently trading around here. They're saying that they're expecting some growth in their adjusted operating income and their transaction margin dollars. They're expecting growth beyond what other analysts here on the street are looking for. And they're also looking at some recent, apparently, changes in its annual incentive plan, basically saying that it's looking like PayPal is continuing to basically prioritize profitable growth. So they're interested in that over there at Susquehanna with this positive rating and $71 price target.
Yeah, still down significantly on this chart, 12.5% on the month still for PayPal, but trying to get back higher today.
You know, I realized that we didn't actually talk about PayPal. We were supposed to. Randy came by, and that was my bad. We got a little bit distracted. Now Tesla wants that 220. It's still going. So look, anybody short Tesla at your peril, I think. but that's just me. It has to go $7 higher from here, then I'll look for it. So 58.85 PayPal. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible for this. 58.85, 58.85, 58.85. Pre-market high is 58.80. So if PayPal wants to join the party today, it needs to break out that top. Maybe Susquehanna's update is going to be good enough, fair enough. And, you know, it's up 1% into a market that is down, so it's certainly relatively strong. It ticks a lot of boxes today on PayPal, but if it doesn't break out that high, there's no trade. So either you break the high or a nothing burger for me. And I just want to point out, when the market turned and Tesla turned the market, NVIDIA is still down 1.7% and underneath that 123. If this holds fort, I think when a stock like Tesla gets strength, you could see a little bit of weakness in some other Magnificent Seven names. Like, where does the money go from one to the other? Sometimes. So I am watching this 123. At the open, it could be an instant kind of trade under that 123, as Tesla is absolutely gonzo to the upside and not drag. I mean, no expectations it would drag NVIDIA with it. But wow, Tesla is absolutely impressive. Like we said, if PayPal wants to break 58.85, fair enough. But our eyes are going to be elsewhere, I think, at 9:30.
It's some interesting arval on PayPal off of that catalyst there. I guess I do have it on watch now due to the arval that it is doing greater than 2 to 3 times. But again, and definitely not necessarily the top play on the day. But taking a quick look at the daily chart, you can see what it's been doing here. Neil was mentioning it a little earlier there. A bit of a break in a bigger picture trend. We've topped out at this 67, 68 level multiple times here, and then just flushed back down into the mid to low 50s here. And it seems like we've been doing more of the same over the past couple of weeks there. But this is the area where we've attempted to catch a bid, right? So not once, but twice. See if we can do it a third time once again with an extreme low down here at that 50 mark. But yeah, no, PayPal definitely interesting as well. I know other people maybe watching some Affirm as well alongside. AFRM alongside of this ticker here, but not doing too much volume on Affirm. PayPal is definitely the one to watch here. 222 coming in on Tesla, absolutely wild.
All right, both of these pretty uneventful so far this morning, but worth keeping an eye on after yesterday's huge move on this Roaring Kitty headline yesterday. Chewy, first of all, if you missed it, huge gap higher, faded that all day long, right back to where it ended essentially, or the bottom at least, support on Friday, back to 25 right now. It's actually looking like it might want to test lows here in the pre-market. GME, I mean, not much to look at there either so far.
Yeah, GME was interesting. So yesterday, right before the close, around 3:50, we hear that apparently this lawsuit that was filed accusing Roaring Kitty or Keith Gill of manipulation in that rally that we had in GameStop starting in midday 2024, ending around early June, basically was withdrawn. It was voluntarily dismissed, but apparently it can be refiled. Interesting, though, no explanation given to that, the withdraw of that lawsuit, but we'll have to keep an eye on GME for sure.
I feel like that was expected. There wasn't any reaction whatsoever. You can see there was a bit of volume into the close yesterday. Around the time that came out, but there really wasn't any reaction as far as the stock is concerned. Still sitting here today, guys, at $23.
Yeah, it's going to be a. I don't want to say dump it to GME because GME is nowhere near. It caught a bid and it's nowhere near the lows, so I don't feel like it's a dump it story for GME. If it gets up to 24, there you go. There's 24, 24, 24. Good show, but if it gets there, I think you can sell it. Chewy was. If you weren't willing to find a short in Chewy, then you had to not be willing to trade its stock yesterday. So I was late to the party, but when it broke 28, that was the only trade we had to the short side on Chewy. Today, it's got one bottom at 25. If it loses 25, it's game over, man. Like Bill Pullman says in Aliens, it's game over, man. If 25 goes, I mean, it's not okay. It's not really game over. But this is what the daily chart looks like. So it's more like $24.75 if we're being really technical about it. But if Chewy doesn't hold on to this, well, what do you think is going to happen? So good luck to everyone out there. I am willing to trade this in either direction. Locates are free for us here at Real Trading, which is fantastic. That means we can trade in either direction. You got to be willing to trade it both ways. If it loses 24.75, that gap fill, I mean, to 24 at least, maybe even to $22. So just respect the price action. And if every now and then you see me like my eyes go elsewhere and I just start like slowing down, like I'm mesmerized by something, just trust me, it's the tape of Tesla every single time.
Definitely. The tape on Tesla is very, very mesmerizing as of right now. But yeah, no, GME doesn't really react to that news very significantly. Pretty much sideways action here. At 23s holding, like mentioned earlier. Some of these post-earnings levels as well. So let's see. Again, we were, if you guys remember, if you guys were around, we were talking about liquidity traps there, and it seems like the trap has definitely kind of dissipated for now. But it seems like as volume fades off, and if GME fails to follow through 20, there could definitely be residual kind of action there for sure. But again, time will tell on that one. And Chewy not really kind of, it had its day one, it had its second day as well. Strong trading on both days, but not really doing too much anymore after kind of a dead cat bounce that we experienced yesterday. Yeah, definitely that $30 area. I was looking at this, I guess, yesterday as well, kind of with the anchored on that first little pop of that crazy volume that comes in on the tweet on Thursday. Take a look at this, something interesting. Right off of the open there, you attempt, so over the weekend, he makes some more tweets, he makes some, stuff happens in the morning, volume comes in, we attempt to test those prior day highs at that 39, and then a strong flush off the going into the open, and we can't even get past that anchored VWAP from this day one, and then that serves as a bit of resistance to the downside, a little bit of a dead cat bounce right here on top of that 25. Let's see if we can, if Chewy can break down even further there, as it seems slightly exhausted over the past 2 or 3 days or so.
Overall, the market trying to ride the Tesla move higher here. This isn't going to help. NVIDIA down 1.8% after that nice bounce yesterday. If we get another one, we'll see what happens with the overall market. But offsetting, I think, everything else that's happening right now. Semis are weak today.
Yeah, semis are weak. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on AMD here as well, because they had quite the move yesterday. At one point, they were down about 5% when the rest of the semiconductors were having much more restrained moves. Then it recovered pretty nicely. AMD right now down about 1.2% in the pre-market. So we'll have to see if these semiconductors continue this weakness or if they recover with Tesla, but certainly a bit of a weaker start to this.
Yeah, I mean, this is that move from yesterday you were mentioning there, 1.2% on the morning so far. Huge flush for AMD right out of the gate yesterday. Intel, not much to look at so far. 3080 coming into play, was also downside all day yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like when you mention Intel there, it's like, talk about a tale of two cities, like this stock versus every time I look at NVIDIA. Look, Intel's not doing anything, but the day that it breaks this converging, this little wedge that it's put in, I'll be in it regardless of direction. So I drew this yesterday and said, if we break this trend, it's probably a short through 30 that day, or maybe it's a long through 31. It's actually 31, like maybe 25 or so. But I don't see what makes it today as, yeah, there's going to be, the thing about Tesla is going to be the FOMO stock for everybody today. I get that. But if we work on what's next, NVIDIA down 1.9%, underneath that 123 level, as all eyes and attention are on Tesla, as long as that trend continues to the upside and NVIDIA does not get the 123 back. I think it's a short there. I would have told you we're looking breakout 125, but that's if we're over 123 bucks and holding the opening range. If the opening range holds 123, I'm taking a 125 break, but that's not what's happening. What's happening right now is everyone is looking at Tesla and NVIDIA is sliding lower down. So that 123, just like yesterday, it's the key price level. Play the over-under. Right now it's under. So if we start to look for fails at 123 and they happen, should be short. I would say the same thing about 156 on AMD, although it's NVIDIA's chart that I have up right now. So I'll probably be trading in NVIDIA, but if you're looking at AMD, it's not very different when you look at that 156.
Yeah, I'm liking this. I'm liking this 154 as well in this area. You can see that a couple weeks ago on the 20th, we caught an aggressive bid off of this 120. Look at that relative volume coming in, not only in the pre-market but also in the after hours as well. 153 strong push up all the way up into 166s, and take a look at this strong sell-off yesterday. And look at where we bounce off of, just where we caught that bid not too long ago, just a couple weeks ago, and we kind of trend up, reverting about 30% of the down move there on AMD. So my question becomes, if we come back down here into the 153s, into 154s, will that bid catch once again? Is like how strong is this sentiment here that we've been seeing, or we saw already once, and maybe a little bit of it yesterday? So that 153, 154 area for sure. And then you got that end of day consolidation high at that 158 as well, because it's kind of a bigger picture. We've been chopping, churning sideways with slightly lower lows and lower highs here on AMD. So I'll be watching that, maybe throwing in a little bit of an alert down here at that 154 as well.
So there we go. We got about 5 minutes until the open. Just giving you a quick look at the early imbalances. So 925 has hit. You've got Tesla sells 600,000. I guess that makes some sense, as people might want to be taking some profits. NVIDIA down there. That's a small number. 1 million paired on NVIDIA, even though it's a 100,000 sell imbalance. That tells you the open interest is getting taken care of. I promised that, as Tesla's pulling back a little bit, I promised I would at least mention why I kept saying short Nikola. This is why. Reverse split happens. You know what to do on a reverse split. It's just a trend to the downside. It's popping with everything else, but reverse split tries to break out, fails, tries to break the previous day high, fails. The second that happens and it loses support, it's a short 1, 2, 3 days in a row. It's getting dragged up with this EV euphoria, but see this last support level at $8? If Nikola doesn't get above and hold above 8, I'd be looking short through that price. And then Polestar, PSNY, they reported this morning. I was excited for the possibility. I know Randy's excited about it. I was kind of thinking maybe you could break $1 on Polestar, but it did not. The volume is 1 million shares. It's not bad, but you know what I'm going to say. This needs to trade and break out the dollar to get really exciting. I would suppose you've got dips in the 75 available, but it's the $1 level that interests me the most on Polestar. It's at 88 cents or 87 cents right now, so there's always a chance when it comes to PSNY, but we just have to be patient and wait for it. Like I said, all eyes are going to be on Tesla today.
Oh yeah.
And you know, when you have that, if you have that FOMO in your head, or you have that urge to fight the trend, you just have to decide, like, what does it look like to you and what does the trade look like to you? And that tells me I should not be looking for shorts until we get up to the top of this trend line. It's that simple. That's the only place where I have a reason to think reversal, and I have lots of reasons to think that you could still dip by. So there's still yesterday's high, there's still that 215, 216 available. The bid is holding at 220 even as we speak here, OB. And I would suspect you might get a nice little dip at the open. It would make a lot of sense after that move. I'm not anticipating where that short could be, but I will be looking for a place to jump on that bid. And we talk about support turning into resistance. We talk about VWAP all the time. Those are the first places I'll look for bounces here on Tesla. I we didn't, it's not that we forgot. We haven't mentioned Apple at all. So the only thing I will say quickly about Apple is, if you saw yesterday in the afternoon or late afternoon, 215 to 215 half was resistance into breakout and then support. So that would be a nice little jump off spot. If it can hold 215 on any kind of a dip, I think Apple looks a little bit spicy. But man, it's hard not to look at the EVs today. It is what it is. Polestar, Rivian, Nikola even, for shorts anyways. And then Tesla now pulling back into 219.
Yeah, something I want to note here is, again, when anything with strong volume, whether it's off of earnings, whether it's a catalyst, whether it's delivery numbers, when something like that happens, I kind of tend to find that the regular VWAP is a little bit skewed here. So I like to do a little bit of an anchored onto that, and you can see right there. So it's like now we can capture, we're anchored to the volume that kind of came in, and you can see we're pulling right back into that level just on top of that 218 as of right now. So a nice little healthy pullback from participants here that are trading this deliveries number. But yeah, the question becomes the same kind of question I'm always asking whenever I see a strong bid. I'm like, if the bid is real and we start to pull back, where does it catch? Do I see any signs of failure to follow through to the downside? 218, 218 coming in at the as anchored VWAP there, and then VWAP from the session all the way down here in and around these 215 marks. But yeah, looking left on the chart, there are some support and resistance levels that could be interesting. Prior day's high, don't forget, is at that 213. Tesla is more than capable of doing about 10 points either way. I'm pretty sure the ATR is about 10 points. Let's take a quick look at that one as well. If I can just pull it up right here. Tesla's ATR is 7.83. It is countdown time. Here comes the bell.
Here comes the bell. Adair, let's get this Tesla party started in 3, 2, and 1. Ring it. Do not forget that you've got Powell talking essentially now. I mean, I don't know exactly what time his comments are going to be going, but we are expecting Powell. He's talking in Portugal, so we will be locked and loaded, ready for that. We'll bring you anything that he does say. PayPal immediately broke that local high. Simultaneously, I'm not going to get off this Tesla chart because Tesla's the first place I'm looking, but PayPal broke that top. It's hunting for 59s. I am on the offer to get some out in front of the even dollar, but there's that dip. Obi, you had a VWAP at 218.
Yeah, it bounced
218
exactly
just
off
bounced,
that.
so that was the right one to look at. I'm going to be looking over at your chart for the VWAP and before I set it up on my trade ideas, but that was the spot. You wanted it. It gave you a VWAP, not normal VWAP on Tesla just now. So good little move. Therefore, Tesla back in. I think I got to stick a fork in. NVIDIA 123 is not going to happen anytime soon, but it is starting to make a little bit of a bounce. But Tesla is absolutely flying. Another high break would be 223 to the long side. PayPal broke that 59, now heading toward 59 and a quarter. We'll get another piece out there as Tesla. Wow, Tesla is the real story. Position board not working, guys. Nasty. Can we refresh that? Because I am in PayPal. Only position for me is the PayPal long.
Yeah, no, it kind of blasted up. It is washing this 220 level, man. It went up to 221, comes right back. And we talk about how some of these dollar breaks are so predatory these days. It's just like it knows how certain people are playing these dollar breaks, and it just washes people on both sides before kind of continuing. And we went up all the way to almost 222 there, and then flushing right back into 220 or 219s trading as of right now. So I did get involved a little bit there, maybe a little too early as 218s come in. This is that anchored that we were looking at just a little bit earlier, and we are just chopping and churning on this 218. This volume is definitely absolutely wild here as Tesla trades just chopping around this 219, 218, 220s. Oh boy, again, coming off of deliveries there, lots of participation in the first few minutes here. 220 definitely has been anticipated by a lot, and then we also kind of marked out that larger time frame trend as well that's been going on Tesla to the downside overall, and that's what Neil, you said that's around 227 or so.
Yeah, well, it's like 227, 228. It's going to be. When you're looking at a trend line on a daily chart, it's not going to be exact, but Tesla is definitely holding. Like I said, it's not going to be exact, but it's about 227 to 228. I'm not thinking about short until we get to that level. I guess until we take another fill, you're not going to see positions. PayPal might come out here for me as it's starting to dump in a little bit. If it can't hold that breakout at 70s, then we jump out of this trade here for PayPal. So the initial break got us where we wanted to, but you are coming back underneath that 70 level. We'll have to take it out. Tesla is holding fort.
Crazy.
Right here at the 219, 218 is exactly where it's holding. I'm looking for a place to add to it, and I haven't really been convinced. I'd almost rather be buying a higher low than try to catch a better price there. Maybe it is a scalp to the 220 first, and maybe look for an ad somewhere else.
Yeah, no, that 220 coming right back in there. So I did kind of hold through all that chop. I kind of like that VWAP hold as of right now on top of the 218. We go back down to that 218. Look at my chart right here. We attempt to go back down. Can't really get too far into that 218 bid, and then coming right back up into the 220. So yeah, definitely a little bit of chop sideways action right off of the open. What is the opening price? The opening price is 218.89, and we are chopping this 220 very, very aggressively. Now, I know that a lot of eyes are on this ticker, but take a look at the futures as well. You can see the futures ripping to the upside. Very, very aggressive push past some of those levels there, and we're coming right back into this 218.
Oh,
so
no.
maybe some trouble happening here on Tesla. What's going on?
Opportunity cost, everybody. While the eyeballs are looking at Tesla, you know Chewy broke that flat bottom, and bye-bye. It's game over, man. What do we say? If it loses that support on Chewy, it is game over. It is absolutely game over. Well, okay, not. It's only down 4%, but not looking good for this. One more time, Chewy to the depths of hell. Let's go to Adair at the desk.
Yes, be aware here. We did have the panel beginning right now here at the ECB over in Portugal. Currently, we have moderators here, Eisnev, CNBC, asking all of the Fed chairs, including Fed President, or ECB President, Lagarde, about their takes and their strategy with rate cuts. So we'll let you guys know here what Powell's response is, but just so you know, we have begun. Also, I have Altria up here, MO. This one popping up a little bit on reports that the FDA is in its efforts to curb the use of flavored vapes, actually getting some scrutiny from the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court looking at some of these efforts that FDA has been undergoing to curb the use of vapes. Keep an eye on MO and some of these other tobacco-related names, guys.
Okay, so apologies, guys. The position board still isn't working here, unfortunately. So I was long 219s, took some out for the dollar. The buyers stepped up to the 220 level. I'm now long at an average price of 220 on Tesla and have no other positions. So it's just Tesla at an average price of 220 that I have. I'm offering out in front of 222, and we'll look for places to add, maybe even a 223 break. I was asked if I got the Apple dip buy. The answer is no. Eyeballs have only been on Tesla and PayPal, and then unfortunately Chewy, which was a miss. And you're gonna focus on Tesla when we get a delivery number like that, but Chewy falling apart here underneath that $25 level. You can like the short all you want, but if you're looking somewhere else at the open, rightfully so, it's gonna happen. Here comes NVIDIA. Wow, NVIDIA with another V-shaped bottom. All right, I'm going to go back to scalping Tesla if it's going to. Can't seem to break 221. We'll take some out in front of 221. But NVIDIA back to this 223 almost seems inevitable at this point. So strong move down for NVIDIA, holding a higher low. It gave everything. It clawed back everything yesterday. Can it do something similar? The short for me was until 123, so we got to let it get there. And AMD, wow, AMD's strong. All right, 163. It's that simple. AMD, 163. That's the level we're waiting for. Tesla just tagged 221, so we're going to look for another reload spot. But I think we wait around for that the 218, 219 area again as Tesla making its way back into the upside. The first break at 220 wasn't any good, but it's holding fort off of this. First it was anchored VWAP. Now actual VWAP is sitting at 218, so we'll give it to there. Rivian, I probably should get to this because remember, Rivian could also break out 14.5. It is right there. So I guess we're going to get some Rivian too, breaking out its local high.
There's some strength coming in on Tesla there, 221. The tape is slightly distinctly different on that dip down into 220s, coming right back into 221. Let's see if we can push for that high a day there. High a day 223 as of right now. Again, take a look at this chart over here. Pulls back into anchored VWAP right on top of that 218 and holds absolutely beautifully for another bid back up, but hasn't really tested this pre-market high just yet at that 223 mark. I think that if we push past that 223, we definitely have some ways to go to the upside there. But again, it is still chopping technically sideways within the opening range here. You can see the opening range on the 3-minute candle here. The high is at 221.50, the low being at 218.81, and we're just kind of trading in that zone. What's going on, Adara?
Up on the SPY here, Fed Chair Powell saying that they're confident the Fed, or that we're back on a disinflationary path after a little bit of higher inflation data than expected as we got in the first half of the year, but saying that we're turning back to disinflation. He's confident that we're on the path to 2%. So some of this echoing previous statements, but nice little pop here in the SPY nonetheless. Also worth knowing that is apparently like highlighting labor strength in the market, as well as we have quite a few Fed speakers highlights. Just keep an eye on the continuing emphasis of labor strength, especially with a lot of labor data coming this week, guys.
Yeah, Apple went absolutely nuts. No questions asked. Apple looking really strong along with Tesla, but it is what it is. Rivian breakout doesn't hold. Tesla's trying to do its best. Rivian broke that 14 and a half. The best it got about like 56s and then pulled right back in, so we had to dump out of it. NVIDIA is getting close to 123. It's not there yet. Looking for the next available dip in Tesla. I think this is now coming right back into that 218, so we'll go over to that price. But wow, Apple. Apple gave it to you as well. Like NVIDIA, clearly NVIDIA has been a runner. There's no questions about it. But Apple right down into that 215 and back up to 217. As that liquidity grab happens, it's so quick. You've just got to make sure you're really, really fast if you want to get it right at 9:30. We knew we were going to be on NVIDIA instead. Sometimes that's just what happens. You end up missing that trade because you're elsewhere. Very, very close to 163 on AMD. It's gone $4, another 3 to go, and we're at our resistance spot for advanced micro devices. I still want to short Chewy, but I have to let that one settle down and give me an opportunity to maybe pop back in and short the pops on Chewy. Want a continuation play to the downside there.
Yeah, no, definitely eyes on the futures as well, as they are pushing, I guess, right back up. We wicked some of those highs, and then now we're pulling right back in. So yeah, I'm curious to know what Apple and some of these other constituents are doing. I know I was watching Amazon. Amazon pulled back quite aggressively as well. 219 coming in here on Tesla, still kind of holding within that opening range. Let's see if we can kind of do some lick grabs of the high or the low. But as you can see, holding this anchored VWAP quite nicely as of right now, so it hasn't really broken. But yeah, I think that opening range break might be a decent look here on Tesla if and when it does happen. But as of right now, like I said, only about a 1-point wash, and there goes the NQ pushing for fresh highs as well. Oh boy, are the futures hella strong.
No
today.
way Intel's going to break.
What's going on? Intel's going?
I did not think this was going to happen, but here we are. Yeah, we drew the channel on Intel thinking, yeah, whatever, it's not breaking 3130 today. No, it's not breaking this channel today, not when everything else is happening. Well, best laid plans on all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, crazy move happening in Intel. It's for Intel up 1.3%, but this is the reason I like it. Trying to break out of this channel into the upside. So we'll just be involved. Got to have it. Rivian just reclaimed that 14.5. So we're going to be in Rivian as well for a second time on that breakout. I think there's room to $15. So just in two names, but I do suspect, oops, that's the wrong direction. I do suspect Intel, if it makes that local break, will be involved in that as well. So Rivian got a little scalp trade, took most of it out when it couldn't hold, held on to a quarter, but that quarter we only held to 14.30. I think 14.30 looks like a dip buy spot. When I keep the 15-minute up, I want to remind myself how much room there is to the upside on this play. So we'll take a little bit less, give it to that 14.30 level with a bit of a wider stop. Still in Tesla. I'll see it pop in on Intel if we get the fill, but Tesla holding on to that pretty nicely, 219. The other place to look for a dip buy, if you're looking for a strong stock, Apple looking pretty good as well, trying to put in a higher low. Here is Apple. Adara?
Yeah, so just trying to figure out what's going on here in Intel. I saw this note coming out here around 9:20, so right before the open. Bloomberg reporting that apparently the Biden administration is looking to launch this program to bolster the U.S. chip workforce. So this is part of its CHIPS Act funding. These grants are going to be a lot smaller, $500,000 to $200 million $500,000 to $2 million maximum. But INT see it as a beneficiary of the initial CHIPS Act funding. On watch here, nice push to the upside for Intel, guys.
Intel,
right.
but I mean Tesla right back to 221. So we took another leg out there. We'll not look a gift horse in the mouth. It's giving you this upward trend, and until it breaks that trend, or anchored VWAP, or you draw a trend line, it's a little bit early for that. But until we break the trend, I think you want to stick with the long. Just go for it. It seems to want to go over and over and over. And AMD, patience, Kimosabe. It's got to get there. It's at 160. It is absolutely flying. NVIDIA is not. The 163 is now $2 away. So we're being very, very patient there as Tesla makes a challenge of that high. If Tesla breaks the top, I'm holding through the top. I haven't decided if I want the breakout on Tesla at 223. I'm going to get some out in front, And then it's whether we add, it's got to be either dips off of support. Potential breakout play, though, is set up here at 223. Let's let this one calm down a little bit. It could be wild. And 228 is the only place I'm even thinking about any shorts on Tesla. I would be getting out of longs there, though.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the fact that we're holding that anchored right now is definitely good. But again, that opening range still has not broken one way or another. What was the high again? I got to remind myself right here as we push up towards that 221.5. So we are pushing in the 220s. We're just chopping and churning in the 220s as of right now. Definitely a lot of volume churning here as well. A lot of block orders going off. There comes a 221. Did the size get taken there? I think some of it did, and it pulls right back into the 70s and 80s, holding that last quarter into that 21 mark. But
whoa,
yeah,
whoa,
no,
that's
it's what's going on?
Position board's incorrect.
Oh, it's yeah, no, my position is slightly incorrect. I think it got my second entry, not my first one.
Yeah,
so my average is 220.12.
Maybe you'll have to restart again. So I can tell you what basically happened. They restarted it, and it's just taking my last fill and assuming that that's the position. I am long Tesla at 219. So long Tesla 219. Those are outs at 220.44. That's an out at 221.07. So that's me getting positions out, but I am long. If you see me short Tesla and it's not at 227 to 230, then it's a mistake, or I've done something stupid. But we're only looking long. We'll have to restart the position board. Sometimes pre-market trading jams that thing up, but it is what it is. Tesla's an absolute rocket ship as far as I'm concerned. And do not forget, at some point, and it won't be today apparently, Amazon 200. I know we forgot about it, but Amazon failed 99s today and trending to the downside. Just wanted to make sure we're looking at that name as well. AMD's starting to curl, but it's not AMD that's at the key level. AMD's at 161. It's NVIDIA that's back at the 123. So this has been the spot, the over-under play on NVIDIA. You wait for it to get to that price. If it fails, you got this pre-market top at 123.20. If it fails that price, I'd look for shorts back under with a tight stop into 123.25.
Yeah, no, we are still kind of struggling to break that opening range high. We attempted a little bit there. 221.50s was the high there, and we go to 221.70s on this 3-minute candle here. So we are chopping, we're holding a sideways consolidation here. We are holding a good chunk in the upper quartile of this strength that we've got off of the deliveries number. So I like that as well, above both VWAPs, and yeah, making higher lows as well, pushing or attempting to push into some of these. I'm curious to know what the short float on this thing is as of yesterday. I know that again, Tesla, it's not going to be that intense here. I think I have it up here anyways, right here.
I'm going to say 3.2.
3.8. I have 3.8, so not too bad, but definitely a decent dollar, I guess, notional value when you take into consideration the float, the total float of Tesla being about 2.77 billion shares. So even 3% of that might be having a little bit of having some players sweat, as again, market tailwind is super strong. We'll take a look at the ES and the NQ here, pushing for their second green candle on the day. Very, very aggressive. We talk about that 20,000 being a little bit of a level of interest, and we have attempted to blow past it. 20,100 testing as of right now from the downside. So Spider attempting to push prior day's highs. What else do I got here? NVIDIA pushing pre-market highs. Amazon pulling back a little bit there. Apple, though, has broken past prior day high, and Softy is pushing for prior day high as well. Again, Softy very near that all-time high.
Even Polestar's at the high of the day.
All right.
Polestar just made a run. It might get that dollar break after all, but we had to get to the desk for Dara.
We're still hearing some comments from Fed Chair Powell and ECB President Lagarde here at this ECB forum over in Portugal. Currently talking about services inflation, which Fed's Powell and ECB Lagarde said they were both a little bit stickier than usual. We also have moderator Sarah Eisen asking both Powell and Lagarde about the impacts of Taylor Swift on inflation here, especially with regards to services. So just some comments here still coming out of this forum, guys.
Yeah, we were just sort of talking about, and don't get me wrong, the euphoria, Tesla's a stock to trade, but I would say if there's a pullback and a dump it, moment on EV names, Polestar was going to be lower hanging fruit to short. It's like the days that we short GameStop, or usually I'll short like BlackBerry when it goes in sympathy. I just go somewhere else. You know, I think it's a lot of times it's easier to do. So if we do fail, let's say Tesla rams this high, which is at the high of the day right now, and starts dumping, I'm going to have Polestar up. And if I can short it at 97 with a stop at 98.5, I mean, which one of those companies stinks and which one is good? You tell me. Although Randy really, really likes Polestar. So
223 coming.
yeah, here comes Tesla in that 223. So that's my plan of action. If Tesla dumps off 223, you're going to see me likely in PSNY. I paid for locates. They were like dirt cheap. But here comes that 223 level for Tesla. I did get that break on Intel. It's not really moving all that rapidly, so we don't have to worry too much about it. But here comes Tesla, high of days.
Yeah, that 223, that pre-market high coming in real hot. Again, there was a stack at halves that got taken out. Now we're back in the 70s. Here's the 80s with more ferocity. We are bidding right back up. So let's see if that changes the probability of us pushing through that 223 as well. Here comes the 80s once again. We're holding that last quarter. So the 70s are holding, the halves are holding, which is a good sign for pushing those fresh highs. What's going on, Adara?
Just getting a bit of a potential inflation target here from Fed Chair Powell, saying that he sees that inflation could get back to 2% late next year, so late 2025 or early the following year. So giving a bit of a late 2025 to 2026 target for a potential 2% inflation here from Fed Chair Powell at the ECB forum, guys.
All right.
Okay, so I mean, he's putting a target on it. We'll see how that works out for them because they've been so good at predicting what's going to happen with inflation. Clearly, that's like the strongest thing in their toolbox. So 223, it has not broken yet, but I can tell you it's a double top at exactly the 223 level. There has not been a break. It's evens on the offer. Apple is dipping. I think that could come into play. I'm just staring at the big move is going to be if we actually fail that Tesla 223 and where we can jump into something. Yeah, there is your 123 pullback on NVIDIA. Yikes. Yeah, that we could have had that one. End up missing out on it. AMD did not get to our price, so we have to respect the fact that we liked AMD 163, it got to 161, and then there is the dip buy. So not exactly where we were trying to get it on AMD, but it does pull back nicely into VWAP there. A bit of a missed opportunity in AMD. I'm still on the offer of Chewy, but Chewy doesn't seem to want to get to VWAP. Oh, no, there it is. It's just when I offered, it was in front of 24.5. VWAP being a moving target, VWAP has come back in here, and Chewy is at it right now. So I'm going to try to get in front of these quarters on Chewy. We missed the flat bottom break because we were trading Tesla. Tesla's a rocket ship, obviously, but it's right back up to that 223 level. So
the washes on this ticker are absolutely crazy. Like if you are trying to play any sort of clean wash, oh boy, is it not clean? You will get washed, and you got to sidestep all of that. Here comes the highs. The highs just broke 223.30s. 223.30s are the highs as of right now. What's going on, Adara?
This part of the show brought to you by Benzinga Pro. Ever wonder how the pros find those winning trades right at the opening bell? Most of us are scrambling to find headlines, finding ourselves way behind the move, but that's where Benzinga Pro comes in. It's the fastest way to trade the news with exclusive alerts up to 30 minutes before other traders, real-time market insights, and a thriving community of over 6,000 traders sharing their strategies. And right now, you can try Benzinga Pro for the lowest price we offer during our July 4th sale. Use the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description box and join Benzinga Pro today.
Thank you very much, Adara. You're getting that follow through. We got since it bounced off VWAP, you're now 4 hunting the 5 level.
Oh, yeah.
225 is sort of it's an obvious place, whether it's round number hunting. Certainly, it doesn't matter about options. It'll be up about 7% at that point. I know where the trend line is that I want to go at least look for the short there, and it's up at that 227. So if we fail the 25, I do want to jam out. Rivian is now starting to go in sympathy. So there goes Rivian. We got it the second time. I'm going to get some out in front of the 3/4 mark. We're now flying to the upside here. The market's starting to... The market might be pulling back, but Tesla about to take that 224. If you're looking at Apple, that's looking pretty strong. I am in Chewy short. I'm in the PSNY short off of the $1. Short here at 95s. It's 94.5 that we got. But all eyes on Tesla. If it fails back underneath 223, we're just going to look for another dip buy opportunity until we get to 227. I still think you've got more upside here on
27,
TSL. Well, like I said, it's that trend line.
Are you
on
telling
Tesla.
me to hold?
I'm not telling anybody. And look, I'm telling you where resistance is, where the only place I'm looking for a potential short is, and we can always go back to it, and this trend line's been for like a year or something, and it's roughly at 227.5 to 228. That's the spot. If we get there, it's about the only place I'm looking for a shorting opportunity. I will jam out, though, in front of 225, though.
Yeah, 225 coming in right now. We're printing the halves, 224 halves. So 224 had a stack of size that got blasted through, which I was like, all right, we're going to blast through that with butter. 2,000, what is that? 1,000 lots sitting at 225 right there in front. So yeah, let's see if we can break through that 225. We've been taking out a lot of size on our way up here, and its next stop seems like it's 225. And Neil, you said 227 is the spot. It seems like we are accelerating. Look at that size. All of it getting taken out on 225s. Let's see how far we can get. I'm going to take some off here at just on top of it there. But yeah, no, 225, I like that. A little bit of a target for me. But 227, definitely well within range here. Only about 2 points, and we have a blasted off. Take a look at this beautiful anchor that we held off of the open there. Shout out to Brian Shannon. Definitely.
Who's on tonight?
Yeah. Oh, is he? Okay, awesome. Yeah,
well,
we'll hopefully talk to him about some of these anchored VWAPs and really dabble into when they turn out to be the best and when they should be avoided. There's always again, the thing with indicators being like, all right, when is the best time to use them? When do they show up? I guess working more well than other times, and when are the times to kind of disregard some of those indicators as well. So 225 pulling back in. What's the high right now? 225 at 66s. With the strength still holding, no real reason to sell that I'm seeing as of right now from the charter price action. Again, give me a reason. I will be more than willing to get out of this ticker here. Oh boy, this thing, it continues to push. 225 hold is quite interesting. But yeah, no, it seems like we are slowing down. There's a bit of a pullback here. But like I said, the wash has been quite aggressive and crazy on this ticker over and over again. So I do want to be wary of that. You know what? I'm going to get out of most of that right there, only holding on to a breadcrumb as we have pulled back quite significantly.
Hansel and Gretel action here on Trader TV Live.
Exactly.
Look, man, if you're not enjoying it, you knew it was going to be Tesla. It was the first place that we looked. You knew you had to take it. There were missed opportunities on that initial break, but we got back into it. Rivian's also going. Everybody, take a chance. Join this community. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Make sure you share. You know it's a holiday shortened week, but that doesn't mean you can't have bangers. I know I'm out of Tesla. I think you made a good decision there to hold on to a bigger portion of it, but the anchored VWAP was a great look. VWAP ends up holding, but really it was just about looking for buys and not looking for shorts. Let's not try to fight it. It got to 225, and there's a bit of a reversal. Polestar. So I'll go to Rivian first here for everybody. Rivian, when 225 failed, I took another leg out there at the 3/4 mark. Still think it has a shot at $15. Let's see if this one can get supercharged to the upside and be a home run itself, but it's also Rivian. It's not the same thing. And Polestar is not the same thing, despite all of those fantastic words from Randy. Polestar fails to break, fails to get to $1, so it comes back in, short 95s. It's at VWAP right now at 91. I'm all out of this if it gets back down into the mid-80s. I want to respect the fact that, hey, it wanted to go off of earnings. If it gets down there at 83, it already bounced once. So I'm going to get some bids out there on PSNY. And Rivian also starting to pull back in, but Tesla is the real story.
Oh yeah,
you didn't need anything else.
Exactly. One definitely only need one good trade to kind of make your day, month, or even year sometimes. But yeah, no, Tesla, absolutely beautiful. Again, we talk about like studying some of this price action if you're trying to capture some of these moves, and if you're trying to take some of these clean levels where you have size showing up, or maybe some reserves, or even the pullback into the VWAP there, it is quite competitive, quite aggressive. I like to call it playing ranked for sure when it comes to gaming. Basically, it's you're playing competitive, right? You're playing in an extremely competitive arena. Yeah, exactly. Fabian's asking what's the KDR. Yeah, I don't know about that, but
English. No, just kidding. I'm old, man. These guys throw gaming references at me all the time, like.
It's a competitive arena is what I'm trying to say. It's not going to be easy. There are predatory algos. There are players who are thinking, you know, K2, K3, 4 levels past you, and yeah, definitely you gotta be able to sidestep a lot of that if you're trying to capture the bigger picture move because of whatever probability stack that you may see on Tesla, but absolutely beautiful continuation. Can't really get too far as it only gets about 2 points off of that pre-market high as of right now. But like I said, I'm holding on to a breadcrumb here just to see if I can kind of look for more, right? If we're going to continue, like Neil said, maybe potentially to that 227, oh boy, are we kind of really poised for a push like that? But holding these highs, we talk about holding the upper quartile of the deliveries move, holding that anchored and being above prior anchored, and I had 217 as a key level, can't really get back there on the 218 push. Failure to follow through, bids holding, and then pushing right back up. But yeah, I'll admit, my first entry was 220 halves, and I held that all the way down to 218 because I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna give this trade room to work, room to breathe. I don't have the best price. I punched into whatever, but again, you can see when it works well, and when it doesn't, sure, you stop out at where your limit is. What's going on?
So getting comments here coming from Fed Chair Powell and the other Fed speakers from Brazil and the ECB right now at this ECB panel. But right now we're waiting on these JOLTS job openings. Previous number 8.059. In consensus, 7.91 million, forecast 7.9 million. JOLTS job quits, 3.5 previous, 3.5 forecast here. Getting these JOLTS job numbers coming in here at 8.14, so this is quite a bit above here. The previous of 7.91 million, consensus of 7.91 million, and forecast of 7.9 million. So a bit of a higher than expected JOLTS job openings number. Continuing to see a little bit of consolidation here in this triangular pattern on the S&P 500. Basically flat on the day right now for the market, as we do have comments from the Feds coming out here, of course, Fed Chair Powell, and those meetings are waiting some other job data later this week as well. But right now, pretty flat in the day, of course, reacting to these Tesla delivery numbers as well. GME here, GameStop still on watch. We were curling up about 1%. Falling a little bit over down here, but GME still on watch as we did have that lawsuit against Roaring Kitty voluntarily dismissed right at the end of the day yesterday. We also have PayPal on watch. Near highs of day here, up over 2% after getting this upgrade to positive by Susquehanna. So quite a few names on watch, guys.
Quite a few names on watch, although I feel all of them are a distant second to the EV name that is Tesla. Tesla,
to the moon.
Even on that number, it tried to pull back, and it held 224. So all you're seeing is the word Obi used was absorbed. They're absorbing the bid.
That's absorption if I've ever seen it.
It gets down there, and all they're doing is soaking up every single sell order, and now we're headed back higher. So you're still in the midst of an upward trend. The second I saw that, my first gut instinct was we might not get the dip buy we wanted, so get a little bit more out of Polestar. Remember what we were talking about? Why would you short Tesla when you can short Polestar? Come on, man. It's called Polestar. I know the cars look good and all that good stuff, but it's a penny stock that failed at 97 cents while the EVs are running. So why short Tesla off the high when you can short this off the high? I'm going to make a strong... I haven't even looked at Nikola. Okay, fine, Nikola. Nikola already made its dip and is now back higher, but the whole point still stands. I'm mostly out of Polestar. If we get down to 83 cents, we'll be all out of that one. But just look for the short somewhere else. Pivot. Like, you don't have to, but it's much better. Even if you shorted Tesla, maybe you got $1 out of this level, but I promise you, if you get into that short, you're not feeling good about it at any point, even when it's $1 in the money. Unless you just sort of crave that level, that kind of excitement. Some people do. But I'd rather not. I'd rather short garbage companies if you can, or that's not the right word, weaker companies if you can. But Tesla, I'm looking for a reentry. I thought we'd get a chance. Maybe you'd be able to dip back into that 222. Your price is actually 222.22.
Oh, Penta 2s for sure. Yeah,
of course you did that, Obi. I did that.
2.
I actually did that on Tesla, my personal account once at 222.22, just because
it just happened to be the case, I guess. That very last entry.
No, it didn't, Obi. Come on, man. You did that.
I planned for everything. No, I'm joking. I have no idea what the ticker is going to do. But yeah. But 225 is pushing as of right now. I was looking for a place to get more as well. Here comes 226. Oh boy, Neil, that 227. Am I going to have to? Because when I saw this in the pre-market, I was like, oh boy, do I want to revert this off the 223? But I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I kind of waited for that 218 to push, and it got a little lucky getting with the trend, the bigger picture trend here. But yeah, no, that number comes out. Was it Jolts at 10? Jobs number comes out, and yeah, definitely that is absorption if I've ever seen it. I have Amazon right here, the tape on Amazon on my other screen. You guys can see it right here. So Amazon, anyways, so all I see is flushes of red on both Tesla and Amazon, and then the market kind of taking a little bit of a pullback as well. And I'm like, oh boy, all right, we're gonna break down. And then 224 absorbs. Like, it absorbs the 20s. You see the red, dark reds coming in. Not only does it hold on the bid, it actually ticks up while it's printing dark reds. And I'm like, okay, all right, people are punching into the bid, but we're ticking up. That is definitely some absorption there happening right on top of that 224, giving us some direction potentially as to who is in charge on this ticker today. And definitely longs are there. Only about 400 lots at the 226, and that 226, some of that prints and pulls right back in.
Yeah,
so
I didn't like that.
A little bit of a
break.
Wash happening.
No, I didn't like that break at all. There was no size up there. I went for it, but I'm like, no, I don't like that. If the 224 level's better. I think you're at a point now. You're too tight to that top, to this top up here on the trend line to be looking for breakout longs. Anything getting into here has to be like dip buys again. So I think you got to go back to the well for some dip buys. Let me just. Rivian bounced, Rivian bounced off VWAP, but it couldn't get past the 60s. I think Rivian's looking a little bit weaker. I want to respect the fact that it's looking a little bit weaker. Maybe take some more out at the 60s. When you're breaking highs, Obi's broker's calling saying, why don't you get more Tesla?
Yeah, no, they're like, you want to transfer some money for that Tesla, those Tesla shorts?
I can feel the desk, the vibrate on your phone, by the way, is a little bit intense. If I can literally feel it, when we're sitting here.
That.
No, it's all good. But Rivian, not at the highs when Tesla's breaking the highs. So I'm going to get some more out of that one, sort of respect what's going on there. Apple is absolutely breaking out as well. It's not as strong as Tesla percentage-wise, but it is just as strong of a trend into the upside. So respect to Apple as well. This has got to be a good day for Aunt Kathy, I'll tell you that much. She's got to be pretty happy about what's going on with Tesla. Maybe she gets that ridiculous target of hers to set upside. There she is. We're not going to answer. That's not who was calling Obi, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. Down in the DMs? What? Kathy Woods? I don't know.
So,
what's up?
Remember Mara?
Yeah, we talked about that this morning.
22.98.
Okay.
There's 23. 22.98. And all the way down to 22.25. Opportunity costs. You can only look at so many symbols. We said it was going to be an EV kind of day, so don't mind it. Tesla's going to be your focus. Polestar failing that dollar level. But 23 in Mara, if you got it, keep it. Looks like it's a good one. That might be an all day as well for that Mara trade. Tesla doesn't seem to even want to give you the dip, but we got to be patient. No. It's a very, very steep trend to the upside. Like, that's how nasty this move is to the upside. Wow, what an unbelievable move this is in Tesla. I think it was the right move to get more out of Rivian because it's no longer as strong as Tesla. It's holding VWAP, but just barely. If it loses VWAP, I jump out of this. And I got to look for something else. If we do find a turn, try to remember that the NASDAQ has already made a top. If it were to retrace back into 20,000, I'm looking for what would I even want to short as the next trade? Maybe AMD. Trade? Nope, AMD is maybe VWAP at AMD. That's already pulled back and is almost red. But we're just going to keep watching Tesla, looking for an entry point here. We're almost at the top of that trend line. Yesterday, we're like, it might take it a week to get there.
Oh yeah. This is what I meant. Remember when I was like, we were talking about like who's gonna get to 200 first? Is it gonna be Tesla or Apple? I'm like, I understand that Tesla is capable of this ludicrous mode, and it can definitely do it within a couple of days. And ludicrous mode, it definitely is. Yesterday and today, a little bit of the same here. Let's see what time that buying kind of started dissipating here on Tesla yesterday. I think it was somewhere around 10:30ish. started to dissipate, and it's only 10:08 as of right now. Not really saying that that's gonna happen again, but I'm just taking a quick look at where that buying pressure dissipated the day before, and maybe I guess okay, here comes the 226 halves printing as of right now. Oh boy, why didn't I take more on that absorption? That was very, very clear price action where it's like, all right, you see that kind of absorption on an economic number where everything else takes a little bit of a pullback. That is a reason to buy. Like, that is absorption, and that's something that I need to do. I need to get better at right there. And I was looking for a place to buy, and I was like, give me better prices down here. I'm sitting at trip 2s or penta 2s, and yeah, it does not pull back with any sort of significance. I did say penta 2s. Here comes 227, Neil. You are the Tesla whisperer.
Well, I'm not. I didn't hold it. I'm out at 225. It is what it is. So look, the next available trade. I just want to point out PayPal after the break is now crazy. Holding a trend to the upside. So I'm going to try and get VWAP here, or maybe some 59s, 5901s. We'll try to grab here on PayPal. So it is trying to go. I'm buying the dip in PayPal after the breakout trade. We did talk about that one on the morning show or on the rundown this morning. But now you're in that spot where it has to be a dip. But we're in the spot where I'm looking for a parabolic move up, and if it's going to fail, the trend is your friend to the end when it bends, but this trend is right into that 228. It's 227 to 230 is a very, very wide zone. There's some people out there that would just short and be like, oh, I'll just short it here once it gets to 227, and I'll just keep shorting 230. That is not the way that I would like to trade this. It has to show prices? No, it has to show something. Like, you've got to make a high. You've got to make a lower top. Show me a turn that you can join. Don't just try to stand in front of a moving freight train. But it's at the zone where I'm not buying it. That's the whole point. So I can't look for a buy that's at this 27. It would have to dip back into 224 at this point. So we're into PayPal. We still have Rivian, Polestar short. Amazon, I just saw Freddie the friend guy. What up, Freddie?
We are breaking that higher time frame trend here.
Let me just cancel. I saw that 200 on Amazon. I just canceled that. Amazon's looking pretty weak here. Yeah. This should be Amazon's looking really weak and accelerating to the downside. Wow. Okay, what's going on over there? Amazon looking strong over VWAP a second ago, and all of a sudden making a U-turn to the downside here is Amazon.
Yeah, so the high of day right now, 227.70s, and I pulled up. We were talking about that higher time frame downtrend that Tesla's been having over the past few years, right? I'm drawing that trend line from the tops of 2021, November 2021, and we are testing or attempting to break out of. Now, we have broken out of this trend a little bit in the past, but we've taken aggressive sells back to the downside here on Tesla every time we do. And that 227 pulls back about a full point there, and I kind of want to be a little bit patient here. I do have a decent price looking back at it. But again, like I said, I'm looking, if this trend is going to continue, I'm looking to get more for a potential test of 230. Again, I don't have a significant resistance looking left until 237. Now, I doubt we're going to get there today. That's another 10 points away from where we are right now, and we've already done over 20 points off of this reaction here. 205s being the pre-market consolidation lows, a little bit of a lick off of that deliveries number, and the high traded at 227, and we're trading 226s as of right now. Trend holding quite well. Again, if you throw up any sort of moving average there, an 8 moving average, a 9 moving average right there, we're holding above all those levels. I'm seeing I'm using a 3-minute, on the 15-minute, it's obviously holding. On the 5-minute, it's obviously holding. On the 2 and 1s, maybe not as much, but definitely a very close cut nonetheless on that. So I'll be watching that to see if that can come in on Tesla. But what an absolutely crazy morning here with this Tesla move. Let us know in the chat, did you guys participate in any
right, like Rio de Janeiro,
the Tesla moves here? From that 218, we marked off that anchored VWAP. Again, not really taking fills based off of where a line on the chart is, but more taking fills where that line on the chart confluences with the right kind of book and price action and the right kind of tape as well. And when that bid holds, quite well. Yeah, definitely. Like I had 3 entries on this thing, right? That 220 halves at first, and then I get on top of 218s on the 219 hold, and then take more on the trip 2s for the push towards high a day there as well. But these 3 shots can definitely be a little bit improved there, as if I kind of situate more of them in and around that those dips into 220. Again, we observed how much volume was going off at that 220, and if I have a bias one way or another, if I like that, if I like that price, I should be getting in and around that price, not 2 points ahead or 2 points necessarily below, regardless of whether they're better prices or not. But right side of the V, nonetheless, got a little lucky on this trade here. Let's see, 226s are holding. The trend is holding. Again, I don't have a moving average on this chart here, but I'm looking at some of my other charts. And we just held, I'm seeing the 3-minute 8 EMAs sitting at 225.20s, and we held that on the dip down. Take a look at this, the dip, the low, that candle right here, this 3-minute candle that just printed, the wick low is at 225.40, so only about 20 pennies off of where that moving average might be. And yeah, definitely, I guess deliveries definitely delivered today on Tesla.
Tesla has delivered the goods.
Definitely delivering this price action to the upside. 227's coming right back in. Oh boy, we talk about this wash very much. Like if you're punching these highs for a push for a fresh break, I don't know what to say there. You got to be able to kind of pull. You got to be able to withstand and stomach the pullbacks for the push back up. As again, if you're risking way too tight on this ticker, that's what I realized trading this name yesterday was if I'm risking way too tight, I will get chopped up. I will get slapped around, and that is not a game I am willing to play. I'm willing to hold 2 points against me for a 4 to 5 point winner, and that is kind of, I guess we got a little lucky with that one today. 228's coming in. Let's see if we hit that 230. Again, I wanted to show you guys that higher time frame line that I do have put on this. So let's go. You know what? We'll go to a 3 hour chart and throw up some of those. I guess is it in here?
Should be.
Oh no, it should be on this chart, but if not, we can just draw it in. Okay, boom. There it is right there. So that's what I'm looking at. If we just extend this line, extend right. Okay, cool, boom. So you can see these are the highs off of 2021 November. These are all-time highs on Tesla, and we've been in a pretty clean channel to the downside in a huge kind of flag that's been forming. And over the past couple of weeks to the past couple of months, I'm like, well, we're holding some of these earnings levels, we're holding anchored, we're holding some of these highs. When we finally pushed that 200, we were all just like, oh boy, this can really come in, and come in it did, right into the high of this trend here. So we are pushing multi-year trend highs at these levels at the 227. So Tesla has done this before. In my mind, Tesla is in a bit of a perpetual squeeze over the past multiples of years.
It's not just in your mind, Obi. It's in reality.
It is definitely in a perpetual squeeze. There were some big players that were sitting short. Bill Gates was sitting short.
There's still big players that are sitting short. Remember, short float on big cap names is irrelevant. You're not going to get 10, 15%. Yeah. 3.5 or 3.8% short is huge for a company as big as Tesla. Now, obviously, you know I'm out of the Tesla long, and it is at that spot. There hasn't been like that one. This might have been a chance to get the 227 short, but I was looking for more parabolic move to the upside. You know what? When I was giving the advice of why try to go short the strong stock when you can go short the weak one, I kind of took my own advice. When it got underneath 227, I went right on over and said, "What's Nikola doing?" Failing under VWAP. So Nikola does not break $8. Nikola is Nikola. Nikola fails VWAP. Short Nikola instead. The same reason why we're in Polestar, just jumping to Nikola. If it gets to low of the day, we take some profit out. If Tesla dumps from here, my guess is Nikola probably dumps too. But you know what else is going? Its name is Apple, and it wants the high of the day. Tesla's no longer taking out highs. Now Apple suddenly looks like it wants to do some heavy lifting. That 220 could easily come into play today on Apple. I wanted a chance to get back into VWAP to dip by it, but if you can't get that, you have to look somewhere else. So Apple looking just as strong. I see AMC's moving, but Adara has told us that there is no actual news on AMC. It's just maybe continuing yesterday's play. So AMC actually looking pretty good. We said, I think yesterday I was talking about I think it was 5:30. Let me just go back to the daily chart, refresh my memory. I haven't traded this. No, it's not 5:30. It's 5:50. It has to break through. Okay. Yeah, we got a ways to go. We got work to do on AMC. It's like 5 days in a row to the upside, but it hasn't really broken out just yet. So with Tesla, does seem like it wants to make this break out of the high. It hasn't done it yet. So I went into Nicholas short in case he doesn't get that high break. Ideally, it would be a failed break of 228 that would press and then fail back under that would get me in. I just don't think it's done enough to show me any kind of a reversal yet. And AMD's so weak now underneath VWAP here. I'm not seeing an entry into this short. It didn't get to 163. VWAP's all the way at 159. There is yesterday's high at 158. I suppose that could be a place to work off of. And I would grant you that NVIDIA is a similar thing. NVIDIA does fail 123 and underneath VWAP as well. So the shorts, that's where you want to be. The chip names are weak. The non-Tesla EV names are the place to look for those shorts. I don't know why Nikola's not granting any fills. It just doesn't want to break 740. I think I just have to be patient. I feel like Nikola wants to go red. It just needs a reason to go red.
Yeah, I'm just, I guess I only have my eyes on the most beautiful thing in the market today, and that is Tesla. My eyes are only for you right now and no other tickers. And yeah, definitely worth watching as it is still holding that 227. Any sort of pullback just fails to follow through. We're holding the moving average. We're attempting to push high. So if anyone got short off of this slight little micro pullback, they're getting stopped out right now as it pushes for fresh highs. Again, if you're risking right above the highs, with predatory price action is definitely what I've been experiencing with Tesla over the past couple of days of trading it. It just feels like wherever you may be thinking about putting a stop, oh boy, price is going to come and get you there. And yeah, no, definitely a competitive arena for sure. But if it's very directional, then definitely it can be forgiving to hold a little bit further. Here comes 228. But before that, small cap recap with Adara. 228.
IWM trying, still positive on the day here, up about 0.2%, trying to hold on to this mid 201 area right now for the Russell 2000. Quite a few small caps here on the move, though some of them gave up their previous moves earlier in the day. One of them here, RoadZen, this is still near high of days here, up almost 100% here for RDZN. Reporting its earnings, actually reporting a larger loss per share on a year-over-year basis here. But revenue, nice move here, 46.7 million for fiscal 2024 compared to 13.56 million in revenue for fiscal 2023. We also have here UP, which is Wheels Up. This is a private aviation company. Not seeing any news on this one, but about $1.5 billion market cap. So pretty notable here, up about 25% in this range to the upside. Last but not least, we have Zap Electric. This is an EV company. This one has run before, about 27% right now. No news on ZAPP that I'm seeing, but we do have a smaller float here, about 1.61 million shares, market cap of just under $6 million. So ZAPP on watch once again, guys.
I tried to come up with a pun for Zap, but I don't have one. I mean, yeah, I mean, zapping to the upside is just way too, yeah, it's a little too obvious. I can't go with that one. So 228 just came and went. I don't think, like I said, I don't think breaking out tops is going to be the way to go. For what it's worth, Rivian bounced off VWAP again. I didn't quite get it. It was a pretty decent like wick bottom, but I wasn't able to reload that 50. I'm still on the bid. I'm in the bid like 54, 55, trying to get a reload on Rivian. Tesla is making that curl. I've elected to go Polestar Nikola short for, I think, obvious reasons, I think, at this point. Apple doesn't seem to want VWAP. It is dipping back down in, but I've got to be patient. Whoops, that's the wrong thing we just dragged. I got to be patient because 20,000, remember we said we could dip back into 20,000? If that happens, that could be the buy zone on its own, and you want to look for the strong stocks to buy in a dip. That would be Apple at this point. So I want to respect Apple. Just got to wait for it. It could be at VWAP at that point. The trend is pretty strong to the upside. We want to hang on to that trend as long as we can. AMD not really doing anything. Sorry, Amazon not really doing anything. NVIDIA still challenging underneath VWAP. I think this is trend short. And if we lose 20,000, the chips are probably the place to go. 123, we're going to have to forget about, at least in the short term. We got to forget about that 123. AMD is weaker, so I do prefer it to the south side over NVIDIA, but neither one setting up much of an entry to the short side. As mentioned, Rivian did get me up. Okay, I just got picked up on Rivian in front of VWAP again, so 14.5. If it gets to the top, if something crazy happens and the EVs continue to go, it's $15 is the target on Rivian. It's a 200 period, it's a local high. So another couple of percentage points, and Rivian is, to me, all out of the long. Maybe even look for a short at 15, although these are so strong.
I'm seeing, like, the tape is getting pretty aggressive here. 228s. Again, we talk about a little bit of a squeezy action. I just saw a flurry of orders push into the ask there, back into 228s, and I was like, all right, oh boy, do we get to go now? But that just might have been a euphoric pop on Tesla. Slightly distinctly different price action. I do want to get out if we're going to pull back significantly here. I did add a little bit to the ticker there. Not the best prices. Again, I was like, it's holding 227, so I kind of like that. Maybe for a push to 230s,
great show.
For a nice little pop into that level there. We talked about 227s being a little interesting here. Let's see if we pull back. Moving average, I guess, sitting at 226.80s. That's kind of where my average is as well, so I don't really like that too much there. So if we do kind of push right back in like we just did, as of right now, I am going to get out, and now I am all out of the trade. Not the best ads, but I was looking for places I added way too high and kind of messed up. But like I said, I just holding on to a breadcrumb, which kind of saved a little bit of my average there. But 227 still holding, so I might have been a little too hasty for that. But that euphoric action to the upside, that I was like, all right, well, we either go now or we kind of failed some of this action here on the tape. A little distinctly different stuff happening in and around that 228. I could be wrong, but trend is still holding.
It's still holding.
It's still holding very well. So we could still see some fresh highs here on Tesla as it pushes right back
here
up
we go.
227 halves as
First
of
of
right
all,
now. But I think I'm kind of done for now. Let's see. I'm starting to think about the reversion if the trend breaks.
Have a good reason to go short over.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't fight it. Don't throw away the profits.
Yes.
You don't want to do that. You got to be really patient in this moment. I think there's other opportunities out there.
Let it come to me. We talk about this in the morning.
Let the trade
come. And Tesla definitely came and fell right on top of our VWAP. Yeah, here comes 228s.
It's making another run at that high.
It's making another run, so maybe not the best out.
I want to shout out very quickly here. Thank you, Spring, gifting 10 memberships. What up, Spring? We appreciate the generosity. We love the community. That's what it's all about here. We see a lot of people talking about AMC, but we appreciate that. You have to enable allowing gifts when you enter the stream, so make sure you do that. It's a subscribers-only chat as well, so make sure you hit the like and subscribe if you want to be in the chat. Talk about all things that are Tesla. Well, you know what? Tesla just went to 227, said what's up to the Jenkins family, and then moved on to 228
Didn't
again.
even break.
Not a reference that you're going to get, but that's okay. Hopefully someone in the chat's going to get that. You're still moving higher, but you know what? If you're going to fail at that high, I know where the bread's going to be better if you want to short. I just added failure at VWAP on Nikola at 755. I just added back through 750. One of these things, not one of them, a few of these things are not like the others. So which EV name would you rather short? It's up to you. But I know which ones it makes more sense. Not the one which is breaking backs and destroying shorts all morning long. You want to play a reversion or play it on a weak stock. Let's go to Adara at the desk.
These Fed leaders being asked to hear about AI. Fed Chair Jerome Powell saying that generative AI currently not being used in or by the Fed or by the FOMC, but saying that they are aware there could be an impact, of course, on the labor markets, but they're unsure to the extent of that impact yet, and not sure that the central bank's the best way of looking at that. So interesting responses here with regards to AI. Said it's too early to tell what the full impact of AI will be on labor productivity here, guys.
It's at 28.
So a couple of things here. Uber's at that level again. We'll get to that. I know Obi's looking all over that one. But guess what is also looking pretty darn spicy at the bottom? Remember Affirm tried to break out. Affirm is right back at this flat bottom break. So this looks pretty nasty. We want to go this way on the daily. Flat bottom break if it takes out that 29, looking very, very nasty. I can tell you Polestar has just hit 84 cents. So I don't think this should surprise anybody. It's Polestar, regardless of what Randy says. It failed $1, tried to break 97 to get to 98, now down at the low 80s. Low of the day sits at 83 cents, so we'll put one bid there and then maybe hold on to a bit for the dream. Tesla now continuing fresh highs on Tesla.
You got me.
Fresh highs. 229? 230? 230 maybe?
230, yeah, definitely. I think 230. If we like 7 halves, I say the same thing all the time. It's like I like to work with quarters. So if you're holding the 2.5, can we hold the 2.5 and print the half? If we're holding the half, can we hold the half and print the 7.5? But if we're holding the 7.5, can we print the whole?
Yes, we can.
It's just like, it's just, yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Oh, we were supposed to go over Uber. You got to see the Uber chart, everybody.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Uber's chart,
this
is what it looks like. I mean, it's how do you not? Yeah, I mean, if a stock like this turns at exactly the same level, when the daily chart looks like this at 69, I mean, what are you going to do? There's only one play to make off a level like this. You're not chasing the short down here. You got to look for that reversion and come up to the and come up to the bid. So if it does catch a bid and start putting in a higher low, I think you got to respect it. Tesla does want it all, but Apple seems like it wants it as well. Apple's setting up one heck of a level here at 219. Maybe you can't see it on the 15-minute chart, but if I zoom in, you'll be able to see it on the 3-minute. Look at this in front of 219. Apple wants it, and it wants it bad here. This could be the other breakout, the 219 level here on Apple. So want to respect that. There's 229 on Tesla.
Oh boy.
230. My goodness, it is definitely happening here. I missed that, Fabian. You just have to repeat it because.
This is still going, man. This is absolutely crazy.
I can't see it. We had stuff in the way, so I couldn't read that banner at the bottom. Apologies. We have stuff blocking the banner, so when you guys saw what was on there, I didn't catch that from Fed Powell. But whatever it is, Tesla's at 229.5.
Accelerating to the upside. So yeah, poised for printing 230s there. All right, so yeah, 230s coming in on Tesla, absolutely wild. I kind of sold very early on it, but before that, we're gonna go off to Dara for Crypto Watch.
And Chair Powell basically was just saying that the biggest risk currently facing the U.S. economy, other than cyber risk, is going to be finding that balance in the monetary policy. We did just get a crypto story coming in here as well, seconds before throwing here. Bloomberg reporting that Robinhood, HOOD, is apparently considering listing crypto futures in the U.S. and Europe. So potential crypto futures here for HOOD. But also we have this interesting story here coming from CoinDesk. Ethereum apparently seeing its highest outflows in the last 2 weeks that it's seen since 2022. We know there is an excitement over potential Ether ETFs here, Ethereum ETFs, with SEC Chair Gary Gensler saying that they're progressing quite nicely. So keep an eye on this ETH here. Having these 60 million in outflows over the last 2 weeks, given actually inflows in BTC and other products. In terms of Bitcoin itself here, we had a nice little move up over the last few days here, now trying to push a little bit below. We did hit a 1 week high yesterday, just around that 63.7 area. Now we're around 62.3, so getting close to that 62,000 threshold here on Ethereum. We are holding on to that 3,400 area. Just slightly down today, down almost 1%. A little bit flatter on a lot of these names here. USDC flat, Ripple up about 1%, Dogecoin up about 0.5%, but Cardano pretty strong, about 4%, and then names like Avalanche a little bit weaker, down 4%. So lots of divergence between the different crypto names, guys.
Thank you.
300,000 shares were just on the bid that got chewed up and spit out on Tesla at 230 level. It is right back underneath, so it does. I mean, it wicks the top, goes about 30 cents, but it had to chew through a ton of volume to even get there. It's up double digits if it breaks a new fresh high. It didn't quite get to that point. Oh, Uber made a higher low. So Uber long 69, 60. Tesla's still going. I mean, Tesla's an absolute rocket ship. Got out too early, but Uber, that double bottom from yesterday, there's your double bottom. Yes, like that trade actually took a consolidation and then a breakout. So the first bounce I'm in, if it does the same kind of pattern, I would take like a breakout of any kind of a double bottom. So I think it's worth a couple of shots as well. There, Reddit apparently broke out. A lot of things are trying to break out here, but Tesla is easily the Don Data today. Out too early. when it got to 225, but that's going to happen. There's no such thing as a perfect trade. You just got to do the best you can. It does look like an opportunity here to maybe set up like the next trade in some levels, because I elected when it got to that level on the daily to just say, okay, I'm going to go into the shorts on other names, and then if they work, great, because they're just a little bit weaker, not necessarily Tesla. Tesla's an absolute rocket to the upside. We haven't been talking about a lot of other names. Shout out and respect to AMC for what it's doing. It's in the dip phase. That 530 that it attempted to break out, starting to slow down. So you have a strong move with a bit of a wick high in here on AMC. A pullback into previous high would be the only place I'd look. The new position is Uber, however. So this is where I'm looking at two things pretty tightly. One of them is Tesla at 230, and the other one is Uber off of this bottom. And then we're still hanging on to Nikola. If Nikola breaks 760, I probably just get out of it and look for another re-entry. But Uber's got my imagination. I want to look for a place to add to it, just not yet.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for that Uber to arrive at a good place for me to get involved. But no, definitely on the break of trend. I like that. I like that push. We did pretty much the same thing yesterday on Uber. I'm watching Tesla again. That 230 had a significant amount of size there. Let's see how much we pull back. Is this all she wrote? Or is it going to continue going? Oh boy, do I need to get better at this? I sold a good chunk, like I said, just above 224s, underneath 225s and 224s, and it goes to 230s. Oh man, no regrets, but definitely lots of reviews needed to be had on this trade here. As again, super strong action, price action, holding prior lows, holding trend. Why am I getting out? I have no idea, but again, maybe just trading PNL, right? Adding and getting bad prices, not the best prices, adding near the highs, and then with my average coming in so close to the moving average, I do kind of punch out, not really giving it. It never broke below that 227. I was like, if it breaks below 227,
never did.
And what did I punch out? I punched out 227 20s. So I'm like, all right, well, yeah, you gotta, at least if you're saying it's gonna break 227s, then get out, it never does that. So why am I getting out? I'm just euphorically punching on a euphoric move. So maybe a little emotional trading on my part that I do have to clean up. And again, expensive nonetheless, as it continues to go over 2 points past that mark, printing fresh highs as of right now. 230 halves are higher days, and we're printing 230 30s right now on Tesla. So the delivery is definitely taken in. Five-figure trade. Shout out Justin with the super chat. Five-figure trade on Tesla. Shout out to Obi waiting for his Uber to arrive. LOL. Yes, sir. No, definitely this ticker. 5 figures. 6 figures even, with the amount of volume and blocks that are going through and the prices that you could have gone. So congrats on that one.
80 million volume.
Oh boy,
Tesla today.
definitely a lot of big trades to be had on Tesla today. Some
Quarter
big
bill.
trades.
It's going to do.
Yeah.
It has a very good chance of doing like a quarter of a billion shares on a $230 stock. Like that's what you got to keep in mind. Shout out to you for sure. Appreciate that for that super chat. There was a good question about. I can't make that up, Fabian. The forum is done, so Powell is now done speaking. You'll see it gone. The market is retracing to the highs, but there was a question about Disney. Disney lost $100 yesterday, well, a couple of days ago, and is continuing its trend to the downside. So it's looking pretty nasty for Disney. All I would say is when you do a flat bottom break like this, join it where you can. The trend is your friend until it stops. Broke 100. Failed yesterday, failing again today. I think you just look for the short and stay short if you can over there in Disney. But Tesla, wow. No matter what on a day like today, you're always going to say you got out too early. I think that's obvious. No question about it. Tesla's unbelievably impressive. Apple's still at that 219 and trying to go. But yeah, chasing this one is going to be a tough thing to do. But it has not even come close to breaking trend. At this point, I think you look at this trend that it made since holding VWAP, and it's, you know what, I can't even draw. Like, there's no point. There's just nothing here And like, it's going to
there's
tell
no
us when it's
pullback.
weak.
Yeah.
So you have to. It's going to tell
You
us
gotta
when
be
it's weak. And at this
patient.
point, it's nasty. Bob W. I might have called Amara short, but you know we were trading Tesla all morning. At any moment when the 23 level was coming into play, that's 954. What do you think at 954 I was concerned with was Tesla? So you're going to end up missing out on that opportunity for the Mara short. It's just continuing to flush. But this is why we go over these levels, and we've been talking about 23 on Mara for quite some time now. It's not me that says go short Mara at 23. It's the daily chart that tells you go short at Mara at 23. It's just right there for anybody to trade. Scotty H asking about Reddit here. Oh, Reddit failed? Boo, Reddit. Reddit failed 70. Uber failed that level. I'll get to Reddit in a quick little second. I want to show you Uber here. Uber did fail the low, so we took our first shot at Uber. It does not hold the local high there. What is going on? There we go. Does not hold the local high, so I took the bounce play, but there's the fail. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. You can like a trade, but I'm not going to sit here fighting it as it absolutely dumps. Are you going to fight Tesla shorting it? No. You're going to fight Uber when it breaks the low of the day? No. That's not the way to go. So I'm not going to fight that trade. Now I can go on over. We were just supposed to talk about another name, and I had to go over when Uber did what it did. It was Reddit that I think everyone wanted. But,
Uber tank, eh?
yeah, Uber is still going to the downside, but Reddit failed a 70 break here. We liked Reddit for a long yesterday, breaking out past that 66, but you know what? It never happened. Like, it didn't break 66 until today, so there's your 66 breakout. You could always join the trend back here into VWAP. The only thing I'm still in is Polestar, which seems to want the gates of hell. But let's go to the desk. It's already 10:40.
Wow.
S&P 500 basically flat on the day, and that's pretty reflected in a lot of these sectors. Finance, technology services, retail trade, consumer non-durables, health services, process industries, all pretty flat. We also have transportation pretty flat as well. The Uber to the downside, they announced their Uber yacht in Europe. We also have consumer service a little bit more mixed to negative. Some positivity, though, here in producer manufacturing, commercial services, a little bit here in utilities as well. We do have to talk about health technology, though. Eli Lilly leading this group to the downside. Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk both a little bit weaker as the Biden administration calls on the companies to lower the prices for their obesity drugs. Electronic technology, of course, always on watch here. Sector a little bit more mixed. Some strength here in Apple for the second day in a row. We did have some strength in Apple yesterday on that Needham note. But NVIDIA, Broadcom, and Qualcomm all a little bit down here. NVIDIA apparently is one of the first days since April that this name has been down more than 1%, and the SOX is up. So interesting look here for NVDA. Maybe a little bit of outsized weakness, guys.
Uber yacht.
That sounds fancy. I like that.
That sounds like a...
Hold on, I'm waiting for my yacht to pull
Yeah, I
up.
don't know about that. I don't know, but I mean, it's probably a nothing burger in a real sense, right?
Yeah,
Because
it
like how much is it really going to matter to them? Like, come on, that's not going to be the focus of the business. They got to worry about cyber taxi. It's Tesla's day. Worry about the cyber taxi. So we're at target on PSNY. So at this point, it's trailed to 88. One more bid, and just see what happens. If this does a V-shaped recovery and double taps again at that top, it's a big, gigantic if for PSNY if it does that, but it would be a long through the top. If it does it, if it can somehow bounce all the way, I'm taking the breakout on Polestar. Because A, that's ridiculous, and B, it has to catch shorts offside if it does any kind of a V-shape. But that's for another time. I think when you're setting things up for the second half of the day here, getting into some chips is probably the way to go. Everyone is focused on Tesla. It's at that 230 and pulling back. But NVIDIA's solidly underneath VWAP. We didn't get that short. 123 short on NVIDIA. That was gold if you had it. AMD for continued weakness. Doesn't get to 163, but that's weak as well. Note that it bounced over 156. So NVIDIA underneath the key 123 level. AMD, oddly enough, when you zoom out and when in doubt, zoom out, is back above that 156. And could still break out yesterday's high. So I'm going to back off. I don't think I want to short AMD.
Yeah, the selling is kind of coming in here on Tesla, but pulling back into the trend, some of the moving averages, that I'm watching. We're holding right above that as of right now, just on that 229. I was kind of thinking about it here, 230s, 231s as well. I'm like, all right, well, maybe we pull back a little bit. There was some significant size, and then we start kind of chopping and churning, looking slightly different on the tape as no real rushes coming right back in. And here we go. We've broken a little bit of that trend underneath that 229. So now the question I ask is, are we going to trap some players who are getting in on the initial push down? Are we going to pop back up? Do we make lower highs? The trend has been quite aggressive and strong all morning long, and we might just slow down the trend, right? We might stop holding the 8 and move down to the 21. We talked about this a couple of days ago, where it's like, all right, again, I know some people like to use speed lines, some people like to use different EMAs, but if the trend is strong and the bid is still there, it can kind of like, I guess, go from how would I describe it, like active to passive buying, right? And we've had a lot of active buying off of the hold, passive buying here in and around that anchored, and then kind of a very active on this very strong trend, buying up every little dip that has happened. And this is the first kind of significant pullback that we've had since the breakout here at 9:51 on the 3-minute candle of pre-market highs at that 223 mark, and then pushing all the way up to 231. So let's see if this initial pullback that does seem like it's a little heavier than most as of right now, maybe this one a little bit as well, 225s all the way down to 223s, 224s. We saw the absorption happen at 224, so that might be an interesting level to watch. But we are reclaiming some of that trend here on a bid back through that 229. So I will continue to watch this ticker throughout the day, and I am staying a little unbiased in terms of the long and the short idea. Again, always looking for that offside. NQ's holding quite well above that 20,020 mark, and we were looking at that 5.5 on ES, and we've only held that right off of the open with that strength coming in across quite a few names there. Google pushing very strong, Apple pushing very strong, Softy pushing, and then Spider also kind of attempting for prior day's highs. On the other hand, NVIDIA sideways and choppy underneath that 223 mark, Neil. So it's like, all right, that 223 still kind of coming in.
I still think NVIDIA.
It is. I think you were definitely right as a bit of a pivot point where it's like, all right, a bit of an over/under. If we can trade above it, that looks good for looking for a potential bid. And if we're trading underneath it and kind of rejecting, which we are as of right now on NVIDIA, maybe looking for that ask to.
You know what the problem was? It was right, like NVIDIA got to that level, and Mara got to, like, NVIDIA got to 123 and curled, and it confirmed the short at the same moment that Mara was at 23. And at that moment, that's when Tesla was at 225. So Tesla long to me was at a decision point at the same time that you had the opportunity to go short in NVIDIA. And you can only do one thing at a time unless you're an algo. The VWAP's coming in here. I mean, there's obviously some opportunity for some shorts, but what's interesting is that level on Uber, where we tried the long here and it broke the high. When I look at this, you're breaking support on Uber. You've already sort of shown that weakness. If it can't get back above the previous low, it should be joining the trend here. So I know it's holding 69, but I'm not completely convinced. Like, it's already wicked 69. If it doesn't break back above the previous low and we get back underneath 69, I should take the break of the low on Uber. If it fails again underneath 69, just join the trend. Don't try to fight it. Should be the way to go. Rivian, which was good this morning, I gave it up at VWAP. It's right back. So let me go to the 3-minute here. Rivian, I gave it up right here at 14.5. It dips all the way to 14.20, so I'd never hold 14.55 to 14.20. That's like 2%. It doesn't even give you that to the upside, but you're right back above VWAP. This is all of a sudden lower highs, not looking as strong as Tesla. I know it's a long, at least for now, but if Tesla really falls apart, then I think Rivian can be shorted in sympathy. It would only ever be in sympathy. So we got to look over back at Tesla. It is leading the market. NVIDIA 123, maybe we get a chance at a lower high. But Tesla is going to decide what happens next here. It's putting in the lower high off the 230 level. Does it have the strength to get back into the upside? You got to let it calm down. You can't go parabolic forever. it wasn't even parabolic. It's actually a very linear move to the upside.
Yeah.
Like there was only one crazy candle, and it was this one, 222 to 225. You know, that was the only thing that was out of pocket, and now you are doing a bit of a retrace. If we completely fall apart, I'm going Rivian short because the sympathy play has been the easier one.
Yeah, that strength really came in pretty hot. But before I continue, we're going to pass it back to Dara real quick.
Oh, sorry. We'll go to Adira in a second. Apparently she was muted. Now you're starting to accelerate to the downside on NVIDIA. The local high on Rivian is 1470, so I can try to get something in the high 1450 range. If I can get like 58s as an average price, I'll try to do that. But you're now starting to get a bit of a pullback there in Tesla. Not finally reversing trend, but actually reversing trend. Let's go back and try Adira again.
Sorry about that, guys. Just be aware, DJT here. This one getting a bit of a move to the downside, down about 2.5%. This just coming out from Bloomberg that the DA is not looking to oppose Trump's bid to delay his New York case. They're going to be seeking Alan Bragg, who's district attorney of Manhattan, will be seeking to file briefs on the Trump motion by July 24th, and that his sentencing is set for July 11th, but likely to be delayed. So basically, looks like this delay could be coming through here for Trump's New York trial. So keep an eye here out for DJT with that news coming from Bloomberg, guys.
All right.
But DJT goes exactly to yesterday's close and turns to the penny. $33.08 is where it closed. $33.08 is the high of the day, and it pulls right back into VWAP. So, I mean, ideally, a squeeze would break that high. Short would lose VWAP. But, yeah, to those that would, I just saw in the chat there, dip by DJT. Not me. Like, yesterday, when this thing broke trend, steep trend, it was an easy short after that. So this is broken the upward trend from the morning. If you do the same thing again, like you definitely break this steep trend somewhere in and around here. And like it did that thing where it fell, then made a higher low, and then fell again. Oh, sorry, lower high, and then fell again. That's what I would look for. It bounced off VWAP, failed that same level, 33.86, and then just kept dumping. So if it were to follow pattern, a bounce off VWAP that cannot break here, 32.65, I think it's a level to short. But I got to go pay for locates because this was not on my radar this morning. I paid for Nikola shorts. I paid for Polestar shorts. Did not pay for shorts in DJT, which might actually be a little bit more expensive than the others.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat as well. People talking about NVIDIA. We'll go to that in a second. But yeah, kind of a break of trend here, just slightly. You can see that since we held that VWAP and kind of pushed a little bit higher, we have kind of broken that as of right now. I was looking at it at that 230, but again, I'll let it go sideways a little bit. Kind of let's see if it actually slows down. But before that, we're going to go to Dara for Money Talks.
DXY posed to have its second doji candle in a row here, and its fourth red candle pushed up a little bit higher above this 106, now coming back to rest at that 105.80 area. We've been hanging out around for a while here for the US dollar. We did get those JOLTS job openings today coming in for May, higher than expected and higher than the prior numbers. So 8.14 million for the month of May versus the estimate of 7.96 million and the prior number of 7.919 million, which was revised. We did, of course, have Fed Chair Powell and ECB President Lagarde and also Campos from Brazil talking at the ECB forum here in Portugal that just ended about 20 minutes ago. Amongst other comments, Fed Chair Powell says that they're looking for 2 to 2.5% PCE inflation around about a year from now, and also employment around 4%, and saying that inflation could get back to 2% either late next year, so late 2025 or 2026. So a couple inflation targets here coming from Fed Chair Powell. Tomorrow, some more economic data on the horizon, even though it is going to be a half day. At 9:45, we have S&P Services PMI and S&P Composite PMI. Then at 10 a.m., we're going to get a slew of ISM Services data. So keep an eye on that with regards to the DXY, guys.
See on watch.
Sir. Wow, Hurricane Ditka. First of all, shout out to the name there. Why is Apple ripping? Generational short going into earnings. We have Gurav saying 220 test again. I think one of the things that we talked about this with Tesla, you know, don't try not to fight the trend. You can like a short. You heard me all morning long say that, you know, Tesla for me, if it got into that 227 to 230 range, I'd look for a short. It got there, I just got out of the long and shorted other EV names. You don't have to step in front of the moving freight train. It's not a rule. You can think that Apple is overvalued and it's gone too far, but this is a clean upward trend that we're not going to get the dip buy on there. You're now through the high of the day, but you're not through 220 yet. So we know you still have to break out 220 before Apple really starts to make some moonshots. I just want to. My trade ideas is not working. I have to restart that, but look, it's the 220 level. I think it's, look, we didn't come all this way not to test that level. I think it's completely inevitable that 220 is going to be a top for sure. Domingo saying greetings from the hurricane. What did they name that sucker again? It's like, it's a weird name. I'm just happy that it begins with a B, right? Yeah, you have to look it up. But anyways, it's on the way to Jamaica right now. Thankfully, sidestepped Antigua, so I'm happy about that. But you're in Punta Cana, so good soon. Beryl, I think, is the name. It's a very weird name. But if you're in the West Indies, you know, hunker down. Best of luck. I mean, you're starting to get into storm season, which can get a little bit hairy.
Category
but
5,
Apple
man.
220, yeah, it's a Cat 5.
Oof.
It's a big one. I know I know right now it has its eyes set on Jamaica, so you know how it goes. We'll see how it goes. VWAP still holding on Rivian, so I'm going to take some out at VWAP. When Tesla made that high and then a lower high, similar thing happening over there in Rivian. Still nothing in DJT yet. Like, here's the bounce. It's trying to break this, but remember what I said about the move yesterday? Broke trend, bounced VWAP, did not break the lower high, so breaks trend up, bounces off VWAP. If it breaks the lower high, nothing. If it doesn't break the lower high, short. So it's a very binary trade for me. If it gets up here and cannot take out this top, I'll look for the short off of that level. Only 5 minutes to go. The story has been Tesla, but certainly there's a lot of other things out moving here, including DJT down 1.5% after breaking an upward trend. Looks like it wants to stay red, at least temporarily.
Yeah, there's a couple things breaking highs as well right now. I'm looking at SMCI. SMCI also pushing for its highs after a consolidation, consolidating in its upper quartile as well, pushing for a high of 841 halves as of right now, printing that right now, right through the highs, and TQs as well, I guess. So that would mean the NQ is pushing for its highs. Yeah, we've got to look at some of these other tickers. NVIDIA still trading 122
Apple 220.
and some change. Spider pushing for highs, maybe even prior day highs as it's almost there. 545.88. We are trading at 545.80s right now. Softy as well. Apple for sure pushing its highs as of right now, just underneath that 220. Yeah, no, Tesla was like, okay, you get to 200 first. Watch me go, and it just goes 200 to 230 in a day just off of deliveries, and definitely brings in that delivery into Apple's face right there if they were hypothetically in a price race, right? So but no, Apple, I guess Alphabet also pushing. Amazon surprisingly sideways as well. 197, 198.99 is the high of day, and we kind of keep talking about that 200. We're like, I feel like we're like winding up on a bigger picture. Like, we pull back to 97s, we pull back to 95s, we pop up to 98s. 99s, and then we pull back in. So it's like, if you look at it, we are winding up.
That's what I think you want that on a breakout trade. I would much rather, like, you look at this Amazon, we only have 4 minutes to go. Apple wants 220, it's not there yet. Look, if you make that break the first day when everyone's staring at it for the first time, it's not as cool. But you pull all the way back into support at 93, you bounce off it, you don't get there. Now you make a higher low exactly where you'd expect it, the 95, 96 area. Even if it does another push to 200 and pulls back, as long as it puts in another higher low, I think it's in the pocket, it's good, it's great, and all that good stuff. So it's not going to be today, at least in the short run. Everything else seems like it's going to be stronger, but I think that just distracts everybody. So the day it gets there is maybe when people miss it. And a few people might be, I don't know, looking at something else when Apple, or not Apple, when Amazon decides to go. There's Apple trying to get to 220, not getting to 220. I am still looking for the curl on DJT, just hasn't happened yet. But Apple in 220. We've got a date with 220 or a dip buy. It's just one or the other, just a matter of which one we're going to get. I have 100% said I'm not now shorting AMD. When we zoomed it out, yes, it was super weak, but held on to 156 and a higher low after holding on to 156 and now holding VWAP after 156. If your key level is $156 for support on AMD and it's above it, why would I be looking short unless it's 163? So AMD creeping up and looking very strong. And if you don't like it short, doesn't mean you have to go long, but the market's breaking out. I think AMD might be trapping some shorts here if it breaks. Like, if it breaks VWAP and starts trending higher, it's going to be trapping a lot of shorts that are saying it's relatively weak. All right, we're not going to get an Apple 220 break until the midday show. No questions asked. It's kind of, we've got 2 minutes to go in here. I don't think it's going to happen. It could, but it's really, really tight. DJT could set up, but I don't know that that's going to happen either. So we're just playing the patience game. Tesla has gone from being the most exciting stock to a nice little consolidation in here. So not bad.
Not too bad.
That 227, I know you got out there. I got out 25. Yeah. You got 227. It just held 227 on a dip.
Very well, yeah. I'm watching it.
It could be the spot.
Yeah, I'm like, do I continue the trend here? Do I look for the reversion? The trend is already broken. VWAP's all the ways down here at 224 for a healthy pullback. Now, if we're gonna stay aggressive on the bid, probably not even gonna get there. We saw what it did yesterday, kind of hovering and holding. I was trying to get short on these lower highs. I thought that I could take a trade down to VWAP. It doesn't even get to VWAP as that strength comes in. A little bit strong pretty much all day and hovers above VWAP with a high of 213. We break that 213 off the deliveries and then off the open. We pull back in, and again, I'm gonna say this again. If it's super strong and we do a little bit of a pullback, and I'm like, if the bid is real, where will it catch? And it definitely caught a little bit of a fish here at 218s. 219s as well a little bit later on before we finally broke out. Look at that expanding volume into that push as well. So here we come to the downside. We're holding the other way now, holding the 8 on as potential resistance. But again, like, I'm going to stay a little bit patient. I'm going to wait for lower highs. I do want to get involved for a potential trade here on this one, but nothing too crazy. I'm just going through some of these top traded, I guess, volume gainers on the day real quick, just to see that there's NVIDIA. I know this one was on my list overnight. Didn't really make anything of it, but it seems like it has had some moves here. Roadzen, don't even know what they do, but price action nonetheless. Here, RDZN, looks like a bit of a small cap runner. Let's see, yeah, under 200 million cap on RDZN, but it is trading volume. It's one of the top leaders in terms of volume gainers. Zap, we were talking about. Mara also holding 21s. We were talking about that 23s earlier on. Apple still super strong. AMD, bit of a, oh, that's interesting. Hello. I got an alert on that anchored as well. That probably would have came in as well. But yeah, strong push. And then what a reversion back down. Over a 50% reversion here on AMD. Absolutely.
Oh, it's 11
beautiful.
already?
It is
Apple.
11, Neil. It doesn't seem like there is too much else. And we know that AMC was a thing. Amazon going sideways. Nothing else too crazy here.
Yeah, so Apple 220, I guess it's going to be Sharif and Adara that get to look at that one at the 220 level. So Apple certainly strong. Obviously Tesla has got everybody's attention today, and I think rightfully so. It was the one. Delivery numbers absolutely knocking out of the park. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. But for now, let's get on over to Sharif and Adara. It is Learn to Trade. It is Tesla Day. It is Apple 220, maybe?
Yes. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That right there is your girl, Adara. And I am Sharif. And oh boy, we got a lot of stuff moving today. There he is. He's right next to me. We'll wait for everyone to weasel on over from the other